Welcome, everybody. You do not have to wait anymore, and it's a sad, sad day. That'll be the last time that song will ever be played because the author of it turned into a dirtball. So tune in on Friday, and we'll find out who is the dirtball of the week, although you should already know. And that song will never be played again because it's a great song, but you got to support great people, not people who share Santos Bonacci's songs that say, I hope Jaren dies and his dead mom's a bimbo and his wife's a bimbo. And Conspiracy Music Guru felt like sharing that. So that's what happens when you change your beliefs. People that were your friends, you realize they weren't. So what are you going to do? You just got to name them Dirtball of the Week and move on. That's what we'll be doing on Friday. But today is another story altogether. We're going to be talking about Behind the Nerve. It is a strange world indeed. Oh, look how cute little Dearth on the shoulder there. Never listen to the Dearth side. But Tales of the Cult, how to protect the cult at all costs, was kind of appalled at tuning into Strangeworld, which was last night. And if you listen to it, you can tell it was very awkward. The reason for that is, if you did not know, I'll kind of catch you up, that both Robbie Davidson from Celebrate Truth and Patricia Steer both had stepped away from Flat Earth. Both had made, well, Robbie had made a post on Facebook saying his reasons, and Patricia Steer had sent a email to Mark, giving him her reasons. So that's basically how it all started. And then tuning into the show, it seemed like they had quite the agenda. And I don't want to say that the entire 2 hours was lies, but at least an hour and 57 minutes was. So it's close, but just dirtbag, just dirtball, just gross. And again, this is the problem with a cult. And they cannot have people leave the cult. So they did what they could to try and protect it, but we're not going to let them lie about the three of us. There's no money exchange. I mean, these guys are going around telling people that we've taken money. And, you know, they'll even say at the end of the show, oh, well, you know, now that we've exposed their plan, you know, just make sure you don't fall for it. Basically telling people, watch, you know, those guys left because they were paid to, I mean, let's talk about something real quick. By the way, let me bring this on the screen. 1 second. Let's discuss something real quick. Number one thing, don't lie about people. That's pretty easy. Number two thing, we have to think smart. For everybody who keeps falling for this person's paid off, this person's paid off, I want you to really think about what you're saying. Imagine that I am a flat earth believer and I'm doing videos, I'm doing whatever. And then so what that would take is the government would have to approach me. Okay. Remember, this is the biggest lie in the world. They would have to approach me and say, hey, Jaren, you know how you've been doing those videos about flat earth? Well, you're right. The earth is flat, and we're the government, and we are willing to give you $10 million to keep your mouth shut. For number one thing they just did was they exposed their hand. Is the government going to tell people the lies that they're keeping from them? No. It doesn't even make sense. So what people have to believe is that there's all these agents out in the world that the government can't even keep track of. They're just paying people millions of dollars and just letting them go run amok. And like, they can't go to a friend at a dinner and be like, hey, the government came and told me the earth is flat. They gave me $10 million. You might want to tell people. How is the government going to stop that? Why would they reveal their hand? You guys are so naive to the way the world works. It's just not the way it works. You know, they don't tell people their secrets and then let them wander about. It's like when people said, oh, all those 70 employees at Union Glacier, they're all in on it. What do you mean? So they were paid by the government to keep their mouth shut, and then the government just left and left all 70 of them there to just frolic? What if one of them had a change of heart? What if one of them decided to reveal the secret? What if one of them went on the TV and the news? So they don't give out their secrets like that. It's ludicrous to think that I would do this for 10 years and then get paid by some agency to, it's just dumb. It's just dumb. And if that were even close to being true, what would be the case is that the flat earth would have something left, but it has nothing left. Okay. Let's start out real quick. I just want to make sure that we have a sponsor of today's show. Don't want to get far away from that. Let's bring that up. Oh, not that one. We got to go here. And we'll be right back after this message from the sponsor. Thank you. Appreciate it.
What are you waiting for? Get the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and leak your data for months with little to no attempt to secure the Leak and Zodiac Clock app. The #1 way to give your data to hackers. For just $3.99, you can make sure your passwords and home location are available worldwide for any hacker who comes along. Prefer your data remain private? We suggest a different app. However, if you don't care who knows where you live or who has your banking password, then this is the app for you. Small disclaimer, the app is no good south of the equator, which is only half the Earth, so that's not too bad. Please do not use for directions, sunrise or sunset, any angles or anything in the south. However, it does tell the time, so that's cool. Please understand that the map has been falsified, but that won't stop us from continuing to push the app. Learn where you live. Sorry, let hackers learn where you live today. Easily add your crypto address so hackers can change the address to theirs so they can get the coins you think are coming to you. Like hide and seek, but with your coins. Not responsible for lost data. If you discover a leak, please contact the app owner and he will get to it in 6 or 7 months. So download the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and leak your data for months with little to no attempt to secure the leak and Zodiac Clock app today. Stay flat.
So that's pretty nice. Thank you very much. Get the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac and leak your data and do nothing about it for 6 or 7 months. And Zodiac Clock app. Available today at the App Store. And yeah, who cares about data? It's not that important. So let's get on with the show. We're going to get into it. Because it's disappointing. It's disappointing to see this happen. So what we're going to start with is what Mark should have done, right? So imagine you're Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer sends you an email and it says, hey, Mark, I'm stepping away. Here's why. Here's my reasonings. Go ahead and read this on the show. I don't mind. Have a good one. And Mark then does the show, but doesn't read the email. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's because in the email is the reasons that she stepped away. So if you're going to tell a narrative, you're going to tell a narrative like, oh, you know, we don't know why she stepped away. She may have been paid. We don't even know who wrote this email. Rather than do all this speculation, why not just take it from the mouth of the person that says that they're leaving? So I'm going to read that first, and then we will kind of move along from there. Let me get to that, and we will read that. So this was sent... and I'm not sure the days. I'm not even going to try and get that part together. It's just either day before yesterday or something. But let me see where this one is. So again, this is from Patricia Steer. Everybody knows she's been here for quite a long time. She took a couple years off, then came back. And in this episode, if you want to call it that, there's this, I guess, this story going around, or I think everything's Dave Weiss. But somebody's telling a story that I have pulled these people out of the flat earth, or that I have forced them or told them to get out or something, which nothing is further from the truth. Patricia did reach out to me and has some questions about the rocket launch and had some questions about my take on things, and the same thing that Robbie Davidson did. But let me get there on this one. Okay. So she did send it to me at the same time she sent it to Mark, but I thought it was pretty telling for him not to read it. So let's get there. Oh, all right. We will find it. Okay, here we go. I sent what I wrote to Mark on Skype. Okay. I thought it was in here. Okay. All right, here we go. So this is, again, sent to Mark, and what the right thing to do would have been to read this, not to speculate and throw people under the bus. So we want to make this very clear to people that you should feel comfortable if you want to change your beliefs. It's okay. It's okay. You can do that. It's allowed. Even though Mark says in this video that it's impossible for somebody to believe something for 10 years and then flip. That's what he says. Unless they're paid off. Which is very strange. Because what you should do if you have a belief for 10 years and you find out that your belief is wrong, you should change your belief. That's the point. But not according to Strangeworld. It is a truly strange world. And we are finding it. All right. How many texts do I have in here? Okay, here we go. So I'll start reading this. This is starting right here. All right. Here's what I sent. And it wasn't responded to. So Mark read it, but didn't respond to Patricia. So it says, Mark, if you have a minute, I'm having serious issues regarding Flat Earth. I'm going to have to bow out of it. I know I've done this before and probably sound crazy, Please don't be mad. Let's just remove me from Strangeworld for good. Not for a break. My reason is that I have doubts about Flat Earth now. We thought in the past we had science, and now it appears we don't. After 10 years, there's no actual working model. Joe Hamby's model is great. He's also a really nice guy, but it relies too much on speculation. There is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. The AE map is toast. It only works some of the time. That's not good enough. I can't stand behind it anymore. After looking into this for a while, I don't solidly believe the Earth's flat. I could be wrong, of course. I don't want to cause a commotion and create drama. This isn't about me, so I'm not doing anything but pulling out of being a spokesperson for Flat Earth. I'm not going to be a promoter of the globe or flat now. The southern pole system shows the globe. The sun is moving in Antarctica like it would on a globe. In Antarctica, the sun spots were in the globe predicted positions. The sun even moved right to left. These are things formerly that I didn't believe were true. The Antarctica trip showed me otherwise, especially with the 24-hour sun. I went over rocket launch video Jaron did February 10th that I sent to you and Chris Van Maitre, who is a land surveyor and often on Globebusters, Tech, and was a good friend of Bob Nodell and Cami. He is respected in the community and does long-distance photography. He measures things for a living. We both can't justify what happened in the video. I'm not saying Chris went globe. I don't know his position on the issue. I haven't forgotten what I've learned about lasers, how we see too far, etc., and how water is flat, but I think there's some other explanation for that. As I said before, I could be wrong. So please remove me from your show lineup. I'm not coming back. I've been thinking about this for a while, searching my heart to find a solution to this. All I can find is I was wrong, and it's my fault, no one else's. That's a decision I have made for myself, and I won't push it on anyone else. I'm going to privatize my old Flat Earth videos on my channel and turn it into something else. I wish to act with integrity. I have changed my opinion based on new information that has been presented. If you want, you can say I did a globe flip. I'm okay with that. You can read this on air if you wish. I think it would be a great idea. You can share this with David Weiss or anyone. I'm not a glober. I'm still me, but with new information. I'm a truth seeker. I don't want to simply believe anymore. I've not been paid, threatened, or compromised in any way. Your friend, Patricia Steer. Then says, she then sent it to Robbie and Chris after that. So she's just not calling herself a flat earther anymore. She's saying she's not a glober. She's not a globe believer yet. She says she's shapeless. She has important things to do in real life, and she's been disappointed with the community, as have many people. So, you know, there's a reason why somebody wouldn't read that on their show if they're trying to push a certain narrative and they don't want people that watch that show to hear what she just said, right? So it's not a very cool thing to do. And then when you hear the things that were actually said and the blatant lies that were ladled throughout this video, you will see that it's an issue. Okay. One of the things that was lied about, and just so people know my position, because this is something that Mark said in the night that was weird. He said, oh, and Jaron said that if he comes back and he's talking globe, if he says the Earth's a globe, then we know he's been compromised. Mark, I've already had 3 people message me today and say, oh, we heard that if you said that globe, it means you've been compromised. So now we know you've been compromised. No, what that's called is a compromise of Mark Sargent's ability to quote somebody. It's a very big... I went down to Antarctica so that I could verify whether or not there was a sun because it would tell me the shape of the Earth. So I certainly never said, if I come back talking globe, that was the implications of the test. I said, if I come back and say the sun's 93 million miles away, or that we went to the moon, which I said neither of those. By the way, that has passed. So obviously I wasn't compromised. I said, if I come back and say that the sun's 93 million miles away, or that we went to the moon, you know I've been compromised because those things can't be determined by the trip that we're taking. So please don't just make up quotes and put them in my words, and then people are reacting to that. Of course I never said that I was compromised if I said that the Earth's a sphere. That was the point of the test. So just weird that that would be something you'd say. Like anybody who has half a brain would know as they're saying that or as they're reading it or whatever he was doing, oh, this is probably incorrect. This is probably not what he meant. This is probably not what I wrote down. This is Nope, just read like it's nothing. All right, so we're going to go to here real quick. I want to show you some stuff from the show. And we're not going to be here too long. Just a reminder to everybody, please don't lie about anybody, especially people that were your friends. Okay? What's basically happened here is that these guys have all turned their back on us in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. People that you're friends with for 10 years, because you say, oh, I no longer believe in the flat earth, they will just throw you to the wolves and talk about, oh, we have inside information, and everything is just horseshit. Okay? It's just garbage. And they make this whole idea of like, well, I don't know who wrote these things. Like, they don't know who wrote that. That's clearly Patricia Steer wrote that. One of the reasons that they say they don't know who wrote it is because they think it's funny that Robbie Davidson had one of the same lines that she had. So they think, oh, that's just copy paste. And it was just because when he had read that letter and he read it through, and then he said, okay, I'm going to do one too. I'm going to do a letter as well. And he says, can I use your line that says, let me find the exact line that she used. It was, I've not been, where was it? Up here higher? So she said something about not being, after looking at this for a while, the one that said I have not been paid, or the decision's totally on my own. Here we go, Chase. I'm okay with you saying you can use that. Yeah, so it says I have not been paid, threatened, or compromised in any way. So Rob Davidson read that and said, can I use that line? I like the way that sounds. And the reason that they did that is because if you think back, what they're saying about me is that I'm compromised. So knowing that that's the going story. So knowing that, Patricia Steer said, well, I don't want them to think about that about me. I'm doing this on my own. So she wrote it in her letter. And then Robbie Davidson used the same one. But of course, that's been taken now to mean something, that they both use the same line, even though they are friends. They talk to each other. So they talk to each other. And let me get this up for you. I want to read now Robbie's post. And this would have been nice if, for people that have been friends for a long time, ran conferences, if they're leaving and they have like a final statement, good on Globebusters. If you guys don't know, I had to step away from Globebusters, and I simply asked Austin, hey, Austin, can I come on the show and say my goodbye, say my final piece? And he didn't say like, no, just write me a letter and then I'm going to pretend you didn't write me one. He said, sure, come on the show. So I came on the show and I spoke for like an hour, right? And that was kind of my way of saying, and again, did I say things that Globebusters wanted me to say? No, but they respected me enough, knowing that I'd been on that show for 8 years, that they let me speak that hour, and it was a good separation, right? I separate. Okay, thank you for letting me speak. You guys have fun. I'm leaving this show in good hands. And you would have liked to seen the same thing from Mark, but no, it's not the way it went down. So let's find Mr. Robbie Davidson here. And if people don't know, I mean, you should know who Robbie Davidson is from Celebrate Truth. He was also the one that put together the first Flat Earth International Conference in Raleigh, North Carolina. Then he also did Denver. He also did Dallas. And he also had me up at Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which was a good time. So he's done those conferences. And then if you guys remember, there was a whole hoopla going on with the whole Logan Paul and him making the documentary. A lot of people got upset about that, started throwing accusations at Robbie. And he just got to the point where he said, I don't want to do this. This is too much headache. And so he stepped down and stepped away. But that's not the story that was told last night either. So let me find his post. And I believe it's right here. Okay. So I'm going to bring this open. We're going to show this. Get out of the stream. All right. Let me bring it over here. That's going to be too hard for me to read over there. Over here. Let's copy this. But I think it's important to hear people out. Neither one of them are ready to really do any shows. In fact, Rob has been asked by many Globers to come on their show, and he's declined each one. I asked him to come, on my show with me. He declined, so he's not ready to do that yet. But he's ready to make his post. So we're going to get this on here, and we'll show you that screen over there. Okay. And then I'll kind of get into the story about what I think is going on here. What is the attempt here? All right. Can I read that from there? I should be able to, I believe. Okay. So let's read this together here. It basically says, why don't I see that post on here? Starts with, I've spent, okay. A lot of people have 826 comments, which we don't want to go through those. They get a little bit crazy. Guys, as a flat earther, It is not okay when somebody says, I'm changing my belief, to just attack them and say nonsense to them. It's just really, really a sign of a cult. That's what a cult is, right? A cult doesn't let you leave. And look at what happened. The 3 people that have left, or the 3 people, myself and Robbie and Patricia now, have been cast as some paid off operatives who took the money, who sold out, and then they basically are running with that story. It's just nonsense. As if you can't change your mind, as if you shouldn't change your mind when new information comes to the plate. All right, so this was on February 24th. It says, I've spent a decade of my life organizing 4 Flat Earth international conferences, a book, and a YouTube channel with over 150K subscribers. But the evidence from the final experiment team in Antarctica has shifted my view. I didn't go to Antarctica, but I've dug into their observations, a mix of flat earthers and globe supporters, and I'm choosing to trust what they documented over wild ideas. They documented over wild ideas like they observed a plasma ball or some cosmic deception in the sky. It points to a globe, and it's really hard to see how any flat earth model, especially a biblical enclosed model with a dome-like firmament, sun, moon, and stars all spinning around Polaris, can fit these 10 points. 24-hour sun. The team recorded the sun circling the sky for 24 hours in Antarctica, upside down and moving counterclockwise, opposite to what we see in the north. I believe it's a real sun, not a trick. On a flat earth, you'd expect a clockwise path or a sun that sets, so this is a tough one to square. 24-hour moon. The moon is visible for 24 hours, upside down and counterclockwise too, compared to the north. Flat earth voices have argued that there's no 24-hour moon down there, but the reality says otherwise. A flat map struggles to explain that motion. The South Celestial Pole. The team filmed stars rotating clockwise around a southern point in Chile, the opposite of the north counterclockwise spin around Polaris. Flat Earth voices have doubted this exists, but I trust that the team caught on camera. A single northern hub can't account for 2 poles. Sunrise and sunset direction. South of the Tropic of Capricorn, they documented the sun rising in the southeast and setting in the southwest. I believe that's the sun's true path, not a fluke. A flat Earth model has a hard time bending sunlight to match that, unlike a globe's tilt. The South Pole. The team had someone at the South Pole, while others were at a nearby camp. Flat Earthers claim it's not real, but I'm going with the team's account. A flat Earth doesn't have room for one southern point. It's all edges. And if you want to see what's left of flat Earth at this point, you should watch the debate between Nathan Thompson and Will Duffy that they just had on Modern Day Debate. And Duffy was simply asking Nathan to account for the observations that we made. And he couldn't account for one of them because there is no accounting for it. That's why we know the Earth's not flat. This is not a question anymore. We've been shown the things in the South that prove the Earth cannot be flat or debunk the idea of a flat Earth. And we'll get into that in a little bit. As I've said, if you want to watch an interview I did today, I pointed out quite simply, and again, nobody ever listens to this, but there is no other map. Stop being deluded and thinking that another map will exist or come out of somebody's ass. It will not. There is no other map because we know the order of the continents, we know the Tropic of Capricorn and Cancer, and we know the equator, and we know the continents, and we know the North Pole and the North Celestial Pole. So once you put those down on your flat map, it's the AE map. It'll never be different. I'm back to reading Robbie's post. Distance between meridians. They measured longitude lines in Chile and Antarctica, showing them closer together south of the equator. I trust their numbers. On a flat Earth, those lines would widen outward, not shrink, making this a real puzzle for that view. The Southern Hemisphere flights. Hold on 1 second. I'm making sure. Okay, good. You good? I think so. Southern Hemisphere flights. The team confirmed nonstop flights like Chile to Australia exist. Many have said that they don't, but the evidence disagrees. Flights from New Zealand, South Africa, and South America reach the South Pole in similar times. I believe that they're real. A flat Earth cannot collapse those distances so neatly. Crossing Antarctica. They learned from staff that people have crossed Antarctica, showing it's a continent, not a wall. I'm taking the staff's word over doubts from the community. A flat Earth endless ice barrier or shoreline doesn't align with that kind of journey. Weight variation. The team found things way differently in Antarctica due to gravity shifts as predicted. I'm convinced it's legit physics, not a ruse. A flat Earth doesn't vary weights like that. A globe shape does. Shadow measurements. They filmed 360-degree shadows from the 24-hour sun. I believe it's the sun casting them, not some illusion. Flat Earth shadows wouldn't circle like that. They'd stretch or vanish under a dome. Those 10 points make it incredibly tough to hold on to a flat Earth, especially the literal biblical model with a dome where everything orbits Polaris. How do you fit a southern pole, a counterclockwise sun and moon, shrinking meridians, or flights to one spot from sprawling continents? I'm not saying it's foolish to try, just that the evidence from Antarctica leans hard towards the globe, and reconciling with it with a flat model seems like chasing a mirage at this point. Once these experiments wrapped up, the majority of the Flat Earth community spun some of the wildest explanations to dodge the results. Some claimed the team had never went to Antarctica, others insisted they did but filmed it all in a CGI studio, and a slew of absurd, even borderline insane, conspiracy theories popped up to reject the reality of their boots-on-the-ground evidence. Some even went so far as to be convinced that it was Satan himself going around the final experiment team as a deception, rather than just admit it was literally the actual sun they observed on the continent. Many flat earthers now shrug and say it doesn't matter, even though a core pillar of our belief, I was there from the start, was that a 24-hour sun in Antarctica couldn't exist. We dismissed it as impossible, but the team proved it's real. It's time for a lot of flat earthers to face the world as it is, not as we imagine it. Scroll down here. I didn't scroll with you. There you go. I'm now convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I was wrong about my worldview and cosmology. The evidence from the final experiment team in Antarctica has settled it for me, and I feel total peace with this shift. I'm excited for the next 10 years, free from that debate, knowing I've wrestled with every flat earth argument, every talking point, and even the hyper-literal biblical lens I once held. Where a dome and circling stars fit so neatly up north, I'm no longer a hyper-literalist when it comes to the Bible and creation. The South, with its 24-hour sun and all the points above, unravels that view completely. We can agree to disagree on Scripture's approach. Much works literally in the north, but it falls apart down south when you see what the sun truly does. People deserve to know why I've left Flat Earth behind, and I've laid it out above in those 10 points. I wish everyone the very best in their own search for truth. John 14:6. So let me see. It looks like, and let me bring this up. So there's rumors going around that are just completely false, and I want to kind of eliminate some of those. I see one of those in this comment right here from Shelly Lewis. Shelly says, Robbie Davidson, answer honestly. Are you going to be featured in Will Duffy's documentary for renouncing Flat Earth? If you are, you have been compromised. Okay, so if somebody does, let's say just if somebody decided to be in some documentary, that doesn't mean you're compromised. It would mean that you're being honest. But regardless, there is no Will Duffy documentary. So we're not even sure where this is coming from, except for I've heard Dave Weiss say this numerous times, that there's two documentaries. Will has one and John has one, and that's never been stated anywhere ever. There, as far as I know, there's one documentary being made. It's being made by Jonathan. He is in the process right now and should have something for us to look at in the coming weeks. And that's all that there is. And I don't even think Will is very involved in that. So whoever's telling you these things, and you're going to notice this is a trend, somebody is out there telling lies. Okay, they're just going around and they're acting like a chicken with their head cut off, and they're just going crazy. I've heard from several people that they're being phone called by this person who may be on the thumbnail in a red suit and saying things like, Jaron is infected by nanobots, and it's contagious. You should watch out for him. Another thing is that Jaron is getting a house. So let me tell you this story because it's kind of sad. When I told Dave Weiss about his app having leaks, because I was told by these Globers who messaged me, one of them was in my VIP, and said, Jaron, the app is not secure. We're able to get in. We're able to see these things. And I said, okay, I'll tell Dave. So I told Dave, and he just kind of shook it off. And, oh, yeah, I'll get it. Yeah, okay. And I'm like, no, it's supposedly they can get, no, they can't really. It's a spiritual attack. They're just, it's Globers. They just hate Flat Earth. I'm like, no, they're actually saying that they can actually get to people's data. They can actually see the data. He didn't want to hear it. A day later, I heard again, somebody says, no, we can actually, here's some user data. We can pull their data. We can pull their information. We can pull even their longitude, latitude. And I said, well, thank goodness you don't have the exact location. You just have that. And they're like, no, you'd have to check on that. So anyway, I told Dave, they've got people's longitude, latitude. And he just kind of said, I don't know, man, whatever. It took a whole week until basically about 6 days after, I got a picture sent to me of my house. Okay, for 7 years, I've had to work on keeping my location private. it's not the most difficult thing in the world, but it was able to do that. And right away I knew like, oh great, now this has been exposed. So I called Dave, said, Dave, dude, they have my home address now. And he said, well, you don't know they got that from the app. I'm like, no, I do. The guys who are looking in the app and say that it has holes and there's no security at all, they found my address. Yeah, but you don't know that they got it from the app, Jaron. It could have been, maybe you left it somewhere else. I'm like, Dave, I worked for 7 years on keeping it private. What do you mean? Where are they going to get it from? I don't know. I said, okay, well, whatever. So the next day they messaged me again saying, Jaron, it's still open. He has not done anything. And here is your password. Sure enough, it was my password. So I'm like, all right. So I called Dave again. Dave, dude, they have my password now. You have to do something. You're just leaving people's information out there for everybody. Well, if they really have it, then they can give me my password. Okay. So I go back to them, say, can you give me Dave's password? They gave it to me. I called him again, told him the password, and he said, oh, okay, I'll get on that. And then from there, he supposedly did something, but what I'm hearing from the people that have app access or whatever, or have API knowledge, is that it was just like pieced back together. He changed everybody's password by adding 4 digits to the end of it, things that are not normal practices for securing an app. And I think I pretty much know what happened. It's that Dave, used an Indian app maker from the beginning, and it seems that he's stuck with the same app maker through this whole process. Well, I think, remember, when it started, there was no user database. So the person who built the app probably does not have any knowledge of security, because if you're just building an app with a clock on it, and there's not much to hide or not much you need to do. But as soon as he started adding the people profiles and the chat and people's profile pages with their longitude, latitude, at that point, they needed to implement some sort of security function. At the bare minimum, you need to hash people's passwords, right? So that if somebody does get into the app, they don't get the actual password, they get a hashed out version of it, and they don't have the key to basically unencrypt that. Instead, these were just plain text passwords in the system. People like Austin Whitsitt had his crypto stolen because somebody got a hold of his password, and it looks like he used the same password on the app that he had on his banking or on his Coinbase, and they were able to steal from him. So it has hurt people directly. The reason I got into that story is because when I was talking to Dave, I'm like, Dave, now I'm going to probably have to move. And he's like, well, that's your decision. If you choose to do that, I don't think you need to do that. I'm like, well, I don't really feel very comfortable having my address out there, so I probably will have to move. And I said, but who knows? Maybe there'll be some silver lining. Maybe I'll move to a house with a pool, and it will end up being better than where we live now. So that was kind of the end of that. So now I'm hearing stories that Dave is going around telling people that Jaron has been given a free house for lying at the final experiment. And he says, look for Jaron to be showing up in a new house soon with a pool, and the cover story will be that it came from the app leak. So just so you know what that means, it means I was friends with Dave Weiss for 10 years. And just like that, in a heartbeat, he went to throw me under the bus and tell people that I've been given a free house. So what he's essentially done, now imagine this, we can't even move now. Because if we move anywhere, which we'd be renting, the very first question for people is going to be, you got that house for free. And then how am I going to prove that I did not? I would have to give you my address, which is the reason that we'd be moving in the first place. So thanks very much, Dave Weiss, for ensuring that issue now. And this is just ridiculous. Is that how Dave Weiss thinks the world works? That they give you a house to lie about the final experiment? Dave, go to Antarctica. Start a GoFundMe. I'll put $200 in there. Get your ass down there so you can see the sun, and then you can stop this horse shit. Now, what I think happened is that Dave Weiss has been on a mission. When he found out, and just kind of the order of things, yes, I had gotten word from Robbie that he was going to be posting something, that he was going to step down. He wanted to talk to me because he was interested in what my experience has been. How have I taken it? How do I feel? And I was also talking to Patricia. These people reached out to me. I never reached out to them and said, you better get out of the flat earth or whatever. They reached out to me after I got back and kind of had questions and, voiced with me that they probably would be leaving. And that's okay. They're allowed to do that. They both left just a day or two after, too. I don't even know how long it was. But somehow it got back to Dave that these two people would be leaving. So he went on a tirade of calling Robbie and chewing him out and saying, how come you didn't ask me first? You didn't talk to me first. Because that's a rule, by the way. If you're going to leave the flat earth, you must talk to Dave Weiss first before you get permission to leave. You got to get a hall pass. And so because he was then afraid that I guess what Dave's opinion was is that I had recruited these people. So this on Mark's show, it's actually been said that I get more for the more amount of people I pull out. So they're actually telling people that I get paid money for the people that I remove based on how big their channels were, how big they are. And so I basically have, Rob and Patricia under my belt. And if I get one more, I get like a 3-car garage or something. No, of course, that's ridiculous. But that's the story being told. So these people are now, and I can't decide which one. It's either this or that. It's either that Dave Weiss is have an inability to recognize that he's been wrong. And so his brain has created whatever excuse it can to make it so that he's not wrong, so that we actually been paid off. That's the only way he can rectify why we would flip. It's either that or it's blatant lies. So I'm hoping that it's the first, and that maybe he learns from this that if you're going to lie about people, don't lie about friends. Don't lie about people that were your friends. Patricia was your friend. Rob Davidson was your friend. I was your friend. And it's so weird that these are not real friends when they turn on you like that. Okay? I already told stories about when I got back, the very first thing I saw was Dave on a channel where he was saying, well, Jaron's not a very good friend because he doesn't answer the phone when I call him. He says, all my friends, Vika, you're my friend. When I call you, you answer, and you call. When I call you, you answer. And when I call Witsit, he answers, which is totally not true. Witsit's not going to answer the phone. He's like, but when I call Witsit, he answers. But when I call Jaron, he doesn't answer. So when he said that, I'm like, what the hell? When did Dave call me? So I looked through my call logs. Dave hadn't called me in 3 months. So when I finally got to writing him an email, I said, Dave, stop lying about me. You did not call me in the last 3 months. So why are you telling people I didn't answer the phone when you called? And his response to me was, well, when you were texting me, I said, stop texting me and call me. And you didn't call. That's what I was talking about. It's like, wait a second. What? That's not the same? You told people that I'm not a friend of yours because I don't answer your calls. But now in an email, you're saying, oh, what I really meant was that when you were texting me, I told you, stop texting me, call me, and you didn't call. Well, that's a lot different than I'm not a friend because I didn't answer the call. So to me, it's baffling that I don't need to lie about people. I just don't need to do that. And yet other people feel the need to lie about us, which is peculiar. Get over it that there are some major problems. Again, listen to that debate between Will Duffy and Nathan Thompson. And there is no answer. I'll ask people now, where is the South Pole, which is a place that you can go? It's got a barbershop pole there, and it's got buildings there, and it's got the South Pole Station at Scott Base or whatever. Where is that at on the flat Earth map? And the reason that you can't answer that is because the entirety of the outside of the map is 90 degrees, which doesn't even work. Right? You can go anywhere today, and you can check whether SunCalc matches the sun angle for wherever you're at on the Earth, and it will match. So, sure, you could get down to Antarctica and say, well, we're not really sure if it matches down there. Right, that's what we went down there to check. But let's say it doesn't. Well, there's still no way for it to span out from that point into a 90-degree southern pole that's everywhere. So these are questions that prove that the Earth is not flat, cannot be flat, will not be flat, ever. Let me explain again. In order for the flat Earth to ever become true or become the working model that people around the world would use, it needs to be able to explain the world better than the globe model. Now, when I thought that the South was a lie, and I thought there was no 24-hour sun and that the sun set down there, and there was no stationary South Celestial Pole, that was still a possibility, right? Because if we went down there and the sun set, right away, now we've got a competing model. Now we've got some work to do because now the globe has been falsified, and we need to verify that the flat Earth works in every other way, in which point it would have taken over as the de facto best description of the world. However, it failed and failed miserably. Okay? It did not account for anything that we saw, and every single thing that we saw was exactly what the globe predicted. Now, you might hate that I'm saying that. Too bad. I'm not lying about that. That was my job, to go down there and verify for people what we saw. And starting in Punta Arenas with the sun setting right to left, let me explain this for any flat earthers that might be listening. Picture yourself right now being in South America. Okay, on a flat earth map is fine. We'll start there. You're in South America and you're looking west. Okay, which way would the sun set? Well, it has to go left to right because the sun needs to go off to the right to get to Antarctica. To get to Australia, which is to the right. However, the sun sets right to left. That flies completely in the face of the AE map. Okay, the AE map needs the sun to go left to right. Now, here's why I think flat Earth lasted so long. It's because 95% of people live in the north. And if you live in the north, then every single sunset that you see every day goes left to right. And that is matching the AE map. So it very much makes sense. Oh, AE map, the Earth's flat. Okay, great, makes sense. Where it falls apart completely is, did you know that in the south, every single sunset goes right to left? How does that work on a flat map? It does not, and never will. And there's no really mechanism for explaining that. Every sunset, right to left in the south. Every sunset in the north, left to right. Okay. The Earth operates as two halves that are completely opposite of each other. This is something that we all knew inherently when we started flat Earth, that in order for flat Earth to be true, the south must be a lie. If the south is what they tell us, then the Earth is a globe. Period. And the Earth is a globe because when you go down there, you find out that it works in complete opposite. The lines of longitude get closer. They meet at the South Pole. And if you picture where I was at Union Glacier, looking up at the sun at a 13 degrees in the south about and 35 or so, 34 in the north, I figured out, you just keep walking towards that southern end of the sun, and in 600 miles or 10 steps of 69 degrees, 69 miles, you would end up at the South Pole. Now, I then had to think, well, wait a second, what about if somebody's over there on Antarctica or somebody's over there? Well, then it hit me like, the sun would just tilt that way, and then the south is now we'd all end up at the same place. There is a South Pole. What's above the South Pole? The South Celestial Pole, where the stars rotate the opposite direction that they do the north. What's embarrassing is at this point, there's really no reason to remain a flat earther unless you're just being so dogmatic that you want to make it a religion, which is fine. Nobody cares. Nobody minds if you have a religion of flat earth. But where we do mind, or where I mind, is you need to get out of the scientific circle. You are not allowed at a scientific debate if your answer is, we don't have a map, we don't have a model, we don't make claims. Okay, well, you then go home. That's just facts. Do I wish it was another way? Do I wish that the Earth had been proven to be flat? Of course. Do I want to stand up here and say, I'm an idiot for 10 years over and over again? No. But truth is truth. And the Earth explains to us its shape without the need of NASA, without the need of some sort of professor or some sort of higher education or authority figure. You don't need any of that. If you really want to know the shape of the Earth, you just need the sun. Again, how would it be that at the equator you've got, if you're standing at the equator, and get this is even more evidence of the globe, if you're standing at the equator on the equinox, the sun would set straight up and down. But if it's the northern summer, so in the June time or around there, then it's going to set left to right on your right-hand side. And if it's the southern summer, then it's going to set right to left on your left-hand side. So the Earth operates as a sphere. It's proven to be a sphere. Now again, if what we had gone down and saw in the south was what we thought it was, a sun setting, no south celestial pole, then the flat Earth had a running. It had a chance. But when that gets disproven, there is no more flat Earth. It's time to put it away. It's time to move on to other things. We can be adults and say, we were wrong about that. Now let's look at things that we learned. Let's look at some other anomalies. But we need to accept that the Earth that we live on is a sphere. Just the way it works. If you're talking about, I just talked about earlier that you need to supplant the globe by better explaining reality. And at this point, that will never happen. Never. It won't even come close. Okay. For instance, you can look at the sunrise sunset times, and you would see that. Do I have Earth up here? I don't know if I see it. I did. Beautiful. Way to go, John. Just want to show this real quick so I can. What do you see on the screen? Yeah. So this is the Andrew Marsh sphere model, and let's move it over here. So no matter where you go on this globe, now remember that they map the Earth on the globe. Nobody can disagree with that. That's where they have it mapped. You can say, well, Jaron, I don't think we live there. Sure, believe that for now. but the map of the Earth is on the globe. So how would it be that any one of us can go to any location on the Earth, and the sunrise sunset time will match what's on SunCalc, which comes from the sphere model? The sphere model predicts all sunrise sunset times for every location on the Earth, for every day of the year, for every year that there's been in the past, and for every year in the future. The flat Earth has never predicted one sunrise or sunset time or angle anywhere on the Earth, any hour of the day, or any day of the year, or any year of the millennium. So the score is literally infinity to zero. So do you think the flat Earth has a good running? Do you think they have a chance to come back? They're going to fight from the ground up? No. What we've got is we've got a lot of people who have adopted the flat Earth as their mantra. And let me explain why this is a problem. So if you've got Mark Sargent on his show telling people things like, oh, well, these guys are paid off, and he's trying to hide the fact that the flat Earth is not able to answer anything. It doesn't provide any explanations. It doesn't provide any predictions. And it's time to just let it go. And I don't know why I have to be the one to say this, because it should be obvious to anybody that's been involved, but instead people will make up anything. And I mean anything. Well, Jaron, couldn't it be a reflected, holographic, inverted, helium, water? I mean, just anything that they can say. And the fact is, no, it can be answered in one thing. Do you really think God made the world so you could map it on a sphere perfectly, but then said it's not really a sphere, it's something else? They'll have to figure it out. It's a reflected holographic focal point of light, and it refracts over here with a superfluid ceiling. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You've gone too far. You've gone too far. And I would think people would take into account what I'm saying, because they'd be like, well, Jaron's been here 10 years. And for him to flip, rather than go the Mark method, which is, oh, Jaron flipped, that must mean that he was paid off, because you can't believe something for 10 years and then flip. Wrong. Wrong. Enrique, can you get the sound effects ready? If I say wrong, then I want the buzzer. Jesus. Thank you. Wrong. Okay, that's not true. What's true is that for 10 years, I believed that the South was a lie. Duffy came along, offered to take me on a trip. I said, hey, I'll learn about the South. We'll learn whether it's a lie or not. And I even went as far as to say, okay, if we do see it down there, there'll be enough wrong with the observation that we'll still be able to have something to look into. But there was nothing wrong with the observation. The observation was exactly what the globe predicted as far as the angle of the sun. It made sense. Everything made sense about it. And then we get back and we have to have people saying that we didn't go, and that it's a laser beam sun that's being passed off between persons. I mean, it's just ridiculous. There's bases all around the continent, and they all saw the same thing we did, maybe not at the same time, or you know what I'm saying? It's a different position for each of those places, the sun position. But regardless, it's not a handing off of laser beams. That doesn't make sense. Let me show you something else on the sphere that's incredible. If you look up here, look up here, look up here. What movie is that from? Anybody? Somebody will get it. I want you to see, pay attention to this line right here where it says, right here, daylight hours. See how it says 12:17? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down to longitude, or latitude, I mean. We'll go down to the equator. Okay, we're going to go down to the equator, and we're going to go to the equinox, which is here, and autumn pole equinox. Okay, so you'll notice that the time of day is 12:07, right? Now watch me move the longitude, latitude lines, or I'm going to move the latitude, and watch the time. You'll notice that the daylight hours are remaining the same. 12:07, 12:07, 12:08, 12:09. Okay, and we can work all the way back up, and it's going to do the same thing in reverse. 12:07, 12:08, 12:09, 12:10. Okay, what you're seeing here is called symmetry. It is literally impossible for you to have a flat Earth that is symmetrical with the north and the south. That's impossible. One of them has to be bigger than the other, or it's not a flat map. Let me show you another thing. We're going to move now to the summer solstice. Okay, and now we're at June 21st. Now look at the time up here. You'll see, oops, I want to get this all the way up there. Let's go here and go latitude. Okay, so look at the time now. You see it says 24 hours. So there's 24 hours of daylight because we're on June 21st in the north. Now, as I start to bring this back, watch the time. It's at 24. Now, right there, it goes back to 20, 19, 18. Watch this, 17, 16, 15, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, till it gets to 0 hours of daylight. If you think that that's possible on a flat Earth, you're just not paying attention. Let's now switch to the winter solstice. So now, whoops. I guess we'll go summer solstice. Whatever. Okay, now we're at December 21st, and what do you think happens? It's going to be flipped. Why? Because the north and the south are mirrored copy. They're the identical. They're opposite sides. Okay, meaning that during one summer, it all happens here. Now here. Now watch if I move this, and we know what's going to happen. I'm sure you do. So we need to stop arguing things that really aren't at a place that should be argued. Watch the time. We're at 24 hours. We come out of that. We're at 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 2, 0. Okay. And we've already shown many times that things that refute the AE map completely and totally would be a great place to look is right down here at Punta Arenas. We're going to move our marker there. It's going to be about here-ish and here. Oops. Okay, it's going to move this one here. I'm going to do that. Latitude is there. I'll move this over. Okay. So pay attention. This is a big one too. There's so many of these that we didn't know before, but now we know. Okay. And I'm going to turn on the sunbeam and I'm going to turn on twilight so that we can actually see. You'll notice here this would be sunrise and sunset, and then you get the twilight. But I want you to watch this location here. Okay. And I want you to look at daylight hours. We're going to go to December 21st. Good. We're there. We're sitting right here at the tip, and we've got 17 hours of daylight, right? You see that. Now, as we move up, what should happen with the daylight hours? Think about the way the AE map works. If the sun is coming this way, like my mouse is, then you would expect these areas to have longer daylight than this area. Because the sun's going to come this way, it's going to start heading off. Well, this place can still see the sun, but this place really doesn't. But let's see what actually happens as we change this to the date and time. Okay, so as we move the time, let's go here. So we're going to do first sunrise, right? So here comes the sun, and you'll notice that as soon as we open this up, boom, right there, we've got sunrise. So that actually has way more light. Look at how quick the sun's up there, but it's not up anywhere here. So we would expect on a globe that the daylight hours should be most for the tip, because as we move this along, you'll notice that it has the most daylight. Now, is it going to get night there first, or what will happen? No, it actually gets night there last. See how these places are still lit? Now they're dark, but this place still has light. That only matches the sphere model. It does not match in any way the globe or the flat Earth model. And you'll see that it has 17 hours. And again, if we move this up now with the latitude line marker, we're going to see it reduce the daylight hours. Look at the daylight hours. Remember, it was at 17, now 16, now 15, now 14, now 13. This is what's called a globe model. So when other people are telling you that the globe doesn't have a model, that's exactly what they have. This is what we're looking at. It explains the world, explains sunrise, sunsets. It is the opposite in the south that it is the north. I feel bad that we didn't know that nobody was figuring that out, that nobody knew that the south was legit. But that's the way that it goes. And there's tons of these proofs. Go out, and here's another way that you know, is that, let me just explain one thing real quick. If you are somewhere in the world right now and you want to check whether the Earth is a sphere or not, I'll show you how to do it. Find out what your angle to Polaris is. Go outside, measure it. Okay, good, I'm at 37 degrees. Okay, now get in your car or mark on a map first, somewhere that's 69 miles exactly north. You have to be on the longitude line, so you can go exactly north, 69 miles. Travel there in your car, get out and measure the angle to Polaris again, and it's going to be changed by 1 degree. That can happen. Once you do it once, then you know that it must work everywhere in the world. How could it not? What would it be, that only you at your location it works, but anybody else in the world would fail? No. Everybody else in the world would see the same thing. So if we've got 1 degree of change in 69 miles, then we can easily multiply 69 miles times 360 degrees. And we go 69 times 360, and we get 24,840. That is your circumference of your ball Earth. You can prove that yourself. Okay? You can go down south and watch the sunset and prove it to yourself. let me show one other thing, and then we'll get back to the Mark Sargent, but I think this is a good time to show some of this stuff. I'm going to bring up my map here. If I've got it, where's Google Earth? Where'd you go? Oh, come on. I'll just type in the search since I can't find the start menu. There's Google Earth Pro. All right, just going to show you one other thing here. Because this is something that now seems so, it's just like, man, well, how did I miss this? But if you want to play with this Andrew Marsh map, I'm going to put the link in the chat. It's also at t.me/Jeranism links. Here we go. What's really sad is the amount of people who are doing anything they can to make the Earth whatever they want it to be. And they don't understand scale. Size matters. I don't care what your girlfriend says or what your ex-girlfriend says, which you should have taken that into account. Probably means something. But size matters. The Earth is so big that it can be treated as it's flat because it is. Okay, so this is where there's this disconnect between flat earthers that can't understand the size of the Earth and globers who can. The Earth is so big that for every 660 feet, which is 2 football fields end to end with the end zones, there is 1/8 inch of curvature. Put your hands out like an inch. Now reduce it to 1/8 of an inch. That little sliver is all the curvature there is in 660 feet. And you don't need to take into account, like, oh, I'm going to do all my measurements from this first football field. No, you just build football fields. Build one, go to the next, build one, go to the next, build one. And for every 2, there's such a small, minute curvature that you can't even detect it with our equipment. Meaning, essentially, you don't need to ever worry about the curvature of the Earth. It is not something you will ever need to worry about. Planes fly over the level plane of the Earth. People say, well, what do they nose down? No, if a plane noses down, it descends. You don't want to descend when you're flying in a plane. You're actually at cruising altitude. And you don't need to worry about the curvature of the Earth because it changes every second slightly. It only needs to change 1/8 of an inch for every 660 feet, 2 football fields. That is such a tiny change. There is no reason to treat the Earth. You don't need to build bridges with the curvature in mind. You don't need to build tunnels. You don't need to build railroads. You don't need to worry about the curvature of the Earth. Isn't that a pretty impressive invention or a creation by God that he made the Earth a sphere if you zoom out? But if you're a person on the sphere, you treat it as if it's flat. Okay? If you're worried about water and water doesn't bend, and okay, think about it. In your location, like we just said, those 2 football fields, 1/8 inch of curvature, the football field water does not bend. Water finds its level. Water lies flat. Now, if you zoom out away from the Earth, you're going to see a large curve of water. It's called the oceans. But that water itself is not curving. Now, again, I'm sorry that you can't understand that. I don't know how else to word it. I don't know how else to say it. When I say that, people just laugh hysterically like there's some sort of joke there. You don't understand size. And I think the problem is that we look at things like a basketball, a yoga ball, a beach ball, a baseball. When we think of spheres, that's what we think of. And to us, you hold a basketball, it's full of fucking curve. But the Earth is not a basketball. The Earth is so big you can't fathom it. It takes 5 hours to fly from California to New York. 5 hours going 550 miles per hour in a plane to just go across the United States. Think of how big the Earth is. It's huge. Its curvature is so minute, you will never deal with it. Now we go out and we're like, oh, if I'm looking 60 miles, there's this much drop. Why do you care? What difference does that make? You will never need to worry about that. Ever. Okay? Austin Thompson did a nice thing the other day. He took the Rob Skiba lens from his kit, put it between his camera and a globe, put a thumbtack on the backside of the globe that cannot be seen because it's blocked by the curvature of the globe. But when he inserted the lens, you could see it. Now, flat earthers will have a problem with that. They've all been championing for years. Rob Skiba says that the atmosphere is like a lens. Right. And if it's like a lens, then it magnifies things behind it, meaning you can see around corners, which means we do see too far. It's a feature of the globe. It's a feature of an atmosphere surrounding a globe. So we can now put this to bed. It doesn't need to be continued. Flat Earth should just go away. You can argue with me if you want, but what you're arguing is that no, things with no evidence, things that provide no good to the community, things that cannot be used to make predictions, and things that aren't scientific in any way, they're simply fathoms of your mind, should be allowed to be discussed in scientific circles. I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree. All right, so now what we're going to do here is we're just going to go down to Punta Arenas. We're going to put ourselves at the south here because this will tell you exactly what's going on. Okay, if we go down here and we're going to look off to the west. There we go. Remember, we're in the south. We're looking off to the west. Let's get much lower so we're down by ground size. Okay, here we go. And we're going to peek this up. All right, so now let's go to December 21st. I don't know if you can see that. You can't see it. We're in February. Let's go backwards. Okay, so that's right here, 12. No, I need to go the other way, 1221. There we go. All right, we're going to increase this back up. So this is around 12. Okay, so watch what happens when the sun comes along here. That sun is setting right to left. Do you see that? How is that going to Australia, which is to our right, and thousands of miles, 7,000 to 8,000 miles? How is the sun going right to left? This happens not just one day a year. This happens every day. The sun goes right to left. So what I figured out, and you should be able to figure out too, is, that's weird. We know that the sun stays above the Tropic of Capricorn. So if it goes this direction, then the Tropic of Capricorn goes this direction, which means what? If you peel back and look at what we're looking at, if this is the Tropic of Capricorn, which is going to be to my right here, okay, the Tropic of Capricorn, come on, get out here. Stupid thing. Let me get this down here, get up here. All right, so here's your Tropic of Capricorn, and it goes down and to the left. You'll notice that the sun is above it. So it means that Australia is on the other side of the globe. There is no question. It cannot be any other way. So go down here to the tip of South America. This is why when we got here, when we were down there, we're watching from the beach there. You can watch the video on my channel. And all of us were shocked. And this is exactly what we saw. We saw this sun basically skirt the bottom of the horizon like this. We all turned. It was 1:30 in the morning, and we could see the sun like this. We're like, oh, that's weird. That's weird. Okay, and so when that happens, and then just a matter of 4 hours later, it rises over here in the southeast. There it comes. So you have people like Flatzoid that are showing people like, look at the angle. The angle's off as I shine it at the sunrise here from South Africa. It's off by 2 degrees. It's like, dipshit. You're showing the sun come from the southeast. The Earth's a globe. Wake up. What are you showing that the angles are off 2 degrees for? How does that help flat Earth? Earth cannot be flat. It doesn't match observations at all. So you see how the sun rises here, and this is what we saw. It went straight up way high in the sky on that December that we were there, and then it sets right over there. So this was part of my coming to getting my head out of my ass. It was way up there. But I started looking at it and I said, okay, so now that we know what the sun does, that little tilt that it's got, if I go towards the south, isn't it just going to unfold to the point where the sun's above my head 24 hours? And it is. That's what it does. So there isn't a question anymore. And I don't know how to get this across to people because I realize that the flat earthers don't listen to me now. Because why? Well, you've got people like Mark Sargent telling them that I actually have been paid off, that I got a house. So, of course, why would they listen to me? They think, so if you're a flat earther, just recognize that now any new information that comes into the flat earth area that doesn't agree with your model will be immediately dismissed as a nothing burger, as not important, it doesn't matter. And the person who brings it will be villainized and kicked out of the community and basically said that you're a shill. So if you're a flat earth believer, unless you yourself sack up and say, I'm not falling for any of these tricks by these flat earth leaders, that it's now been debunked, it's time to call it a day. If you're going to stick with it, just recognize that these people in charge are lying to you to keep the cult alive. And it is a cult if you're not allowed to leave. Look what happened to Rob and Patricia. Okay, and I've got more. We're going to talk about these lies. Let me get back over here. We're done with this model. And let's go back to here. And Lisbeth had took over as co-host or whatever you want to call it. Sorry, let me bring this up here. And I think I've got it queued up for some reason here. Let me listen to what's being said.
Saturday. You guys, if I'm not mistaken, again, if I have something I have in timeline, you guys or the chat room, please correct me. So on Saturday, did you have that thing you could pull up, the headstone?
Sure.
Okay. So on Saturday, Celebrate Truth posted a headstone in the snow for Flat Earth, and the text goes something like this.
After much thought, research, and consideration, I've come to a new conclusion about the shape of the Earth. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I wish to act with integrity. I have changed my opinion based on new information that has been presented in Antarctica from the final experiment. Oh my God, can you tell how hard this is for me to say right now?
Sorry, man. I didn't mean to do that. Throw you under the bus.
I have not been paid, threatened, or compromised in any way.
And that was tough for DJ to read for a number of reasons. Because DJ, well, let me explain what Celebrate Truth is. Sorry, DJ. I'm so sorry, man. I didn't mean to put
This
you
is
like
all just wild. I'll just say it right now. This is wild, and yeah, I'm trying to figure out why. So
for those who don't know, and I apologize to Lisbeth. We had to play catch up yesterday during our pre-call because you're new to some of the things, and some of this stuff is OG. Some of this stuff goes back to the day. I mean, we're talking 10 years ago when you were like 7 or whatever it was. So what happened was, for those who do not know what Celebrate Truth is, it is because we haven't heard from him in a while. Celebrate Truth is a channel by a guy named Robbie Davidson. And Robbie Davidson was one of the original Flat Earth Christian content creators back in the day. And he was the guy, when Brian Mullen was forced to drop out of helping organize the conference, he took over and ran the first Raleigh conference in 2017, the Denver conference in 2018.
I'm not sure that is true, but I don't know what he's talking about. Why did Brian Mullins come up tonight? Just one more time, I want to listen to that.
And he was the guy, when Brian Mullen was forced to drop out of helping organize the conference, he took over and ran the first Raleigh conference in 2017, the Denver conference in 2018, and the Dallas conference in 2019. And he organized Christian conferences. He was friends with Rob Skiba. He did a lot. He was as embedded in the Christian Flat Earth community as anyone. And however, Robbie got himself into a little bit of trouble. He believed that conference publicity should be paramount no matter the cost to the topic itself. And as Lisbeth was quick to
lie. So Mark Sargent's the one who said from day one, no publicity is bad publicity. That was not Rob's position at all. And he just was part of, Logan Paul's coming saying, hey, I'm a flat earther. And yeah, he fell for the hoax, if you will. But certainly not what he's claiming here, that he did it on purpose. Let's listen.
Point out, because, and thank you, by the way, for that, Lisbeth, which was yesterday when he allowed the Howard Stern team to show up in Raleigh. But they didn't prank us. And you guys weren't there, but that's because the lobby was so jammed. It was so unique. It was so jammed full of cameras and media. There wasn't a place to set up a prank. There was nothing you could do. Everyone's hands were, we were wall to wall. I was wearing 3 hot mics simultaneously at one point. It was bad. The next year in Denver, of course, one of the worst ones, the one I walked out on, Robbie Davidson accepted thousands of dollars from Logan Paul.
That is also false. Okay, so Rob, where's the receipts for this? Where's the evidence of this? You can't just throw friends under the bus because you don't like their new opinions. Okay, Robbie Davidson was not paid anything by Logan Paul. He was not paid off by ABC Nightline or the stunt that was done with Jimmy Kimmel. Another thing Mark says here, I'm reading from Robbie here. I was told by someone that I need to step down and let Karen B take over, which is also not true. Other than Robbie was paid off to leave Flat Earth, even though I'm doing no shows or interviews, and you know that for a fact that I've been wanted to be on global shows or Glober shows, and I've said no. Right. So basically, they're saying also that he's been paid off to be in this documentary that Will is going to be putting out. There's no documentary by Will, so that's another one. Let me see here. But there is no stepping down. No one came to him and told him he needed to step down and hand it over to Karen. That's just made up. Okay. Let's continue to see what he's saying here.
Paul, one of the worst internet trolls that there is, to look the other way while he pranks the conference. It's absolute fact. Not even a question.
Wow. Absolute fact, not even a question, and it's false. It's just Mark's make-believe in his head. Just made up. So you need to watch out for that. If you've got your flat earth leaders that are now willing to lie to you to keep you from even looking into possibly leaving or considering leaving, you should know that. Go talk to Mark and say, Mark, what evidence do you have that he received thousands of dollars to turn the other way and let Logan Paul prank the conference? Of course, he will not have evidence of that because it's made up. Okay. Let's continue.
That he did this, and I was one of the only people that did internet research at that level, going down, because that's way below me in terms of age groups, but I knew who the kid was. And so I walked out of the conference because they said, oh yeah, by the way, he's going on stage in front of you. It's like, yeah, the hell he is. So I left.
So Mark had engagements with Patricia. They had speeches they were supposed to give, a presentation, an award show, and he just left. He just left, didn't tell anybody he was leaving. Where's Mark? He left at the conference because he was upset that Logan Paul was getting to go on stage before him, and that's where this whole lie comes out that Robbie turned the other cheek and let him do it or something like that. So I'm reading some stuff that was written to me, Patricia. She says, Mark started the show by talking about Robbie Davidson coming to a new conclusion about Flat Earth. DJ, the co-host, was asked to read a small portion of the statement. Mark focused on the end line in which I said I have not been compromised in any way. He then lied about Robbie and said in Denver accepted thousands of dollars from Logan Paul to look the other way while he pranked the conference. It's absolute fact, not even a question. That he did this, according to Mark, without a shred of evidence. Please provide the evidence if you're going to make an accusation like that. He has said this before, but has never provided any evidence because he can't. He also lied and said Robbie in 2019 had full knowledge of the Jimmy Kimmel team that they were going to prank us when they attended the conference. He provided no proof of that. There was a man in costume pretending to be a flat earther as part of Jimmy Kimmel's team, but Robbie wasn't aware of that plan. Excuse me. He did know a film crew was there, though they had not, was there though, and they were allowed to film. Mark lied and said because Robbie was essentially benched from the conference, because Robbie was essentially benched from the conference scene, you're not doing conferences anymore, and luckily for him, the pandemic started in the following year, and then Karen B had to scramble, and she ran every conference from then on the East Coast. This is a lie because no one benched Robbie. Robbie decided to take a step back from the conference organizing without anyone directing him in any way to do so, and Karen on her own and independently decided to do the conferences. Not because some direction to do so. Mark claimed we pushed him off that side, meaning Robbie, and that was a lie. Let's listen a little bit more.
And in 2018, he repeated the same, in 2019, he repeated the same thing in Dallas, where he let the Jimmy Kimmel team in with full knowledge what they were going to do. They were going to prank us, and they stayed until my set, and they finished, and they did like an 8-minute skit on late night television with Jimmy Kimmel. Because of that.
But he had no full knowledge of that. That's just a Mark lie.
Robbie was essentially benched from the Flat Earth conference scene.
Another lie.
We said, you're not doing conferences anymore. And luckily for him, the pandemic started the very next year. And then Karen B had to scramble, and she ran every conference from then on the...
Who's we said? Who's this? We said that this happens and this happens? Who's we? Because it doesn't seem to be the case at all. Let's continue.
East Coast, and it was brilliant. Karen, love you. Thank you for doing that. Including all the Flattoberfest, which pinnacled really with the Flattoberfest in Vegas, where DJ and I were. It was fantastic. Love that event. Because he was benched, and when he lived in Canada, that was it. He was like, well, I'm just going to run my 24/7 channel, let my other stuff go, and he wasn't around. Part of it was because of the pandemic, but part of it was because we kind of pushed him off to the side.
That's just not true. I remember when Robbie called and told me he wasn't going to do it anymore. I was like, wow, really? And he's like, yeah, it's just too much work. It's taking me a whole year's worth of work, and the amount that I'm getting at the end is not worth the work putting in. Somebody else can take it over, but it's too much for me. Plus, he was getting demonized by people back in those days. They would be, anything that went wrong with the event, people they were all pissed off about it. I remember I made a post because a bunch of people were complaining that the price was too expensive and blah, 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 and he must be pocketing a bunch of money. And I explained everything that we got at the conference, which was breakfast, and they had waters and juice and lemonade. All these things cost a ton of money. You can look them up. They were like $7,000 to have juice and tea, right? So people were just very confused, thinking they were like, oh, it's $300 a ticket. He made this much money, and so he pocketed this much. They didn't know any of that. So he just got tired of having to answer, because if you haven't noticed, flat earthers are a little bit assholes, and they will make a stink over anything. They still can't get over the fact of not knowing whether or not we went to Antarctica, or they think that we didn't go. There's channels that have been going on every day for 2 months talking about the fakery when there is none. So flat earthers are not really the sharpest crayons in the shed. Hopefully you understood that joke. Anyway, let's continue.
Did he have beef with us? Yes, he absolutely did.
What?
So we'll get
He had beef with us?
back to the quote DJ just read. Badly.
Barely read. Oh my god.
It was a terrible read. Awful.
I know.
You're not getting the part. So no, that was good. No, it was authentic, perfect. And the reason why, let's get to this really fast. The reason why it rattled DJ is because Celebrate Truth, what has been a strong inspiration. You know, half our community members are strong Christians. Was inspirational to a lot of people, including DJ. And you can chime in if you want, if you don't get choked up, which is DJ watched a lot of Celebrate Truth. This was a lot of content that he...
And basically, just to remind people, this was so disappointing to watch because, first of all, you've got Lisbeth there for her first time on the show. Well, she was there as a guest, but now she's there replacing Patricia. And basically, he tells a lie for 2 hours. So all of us are sitting there like, okay, now Lisbeth believes the lie, because why would Mark just get on the show and just tell a different version of events, which is what happened. So that's a problem. Not to mention, you know, people are going to take what he's saying as being true because they think he's got some sort of authority or that he has the inside baseball on it, and he does not. He's actually just making things up.
That he digested over the years. True?
Absolutely true.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I sat here in this living room getting to know just the history through the lens of Celebrate Truth, which did showcase conferences and podcast interviews, your stuff, other people's content, movies, videos, just an amalgamation of flat earth content. And what was interesting about it to me is, look, I know, Mark, you're always so kind saying like, oh, DJ, you're perfect, blah, blah, blah. Absolutely not. And I was on a journey where I was seeking hope, you guys. I was looking at the world like, what is going on out here? Where is God?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I just wanted to know that this isn't all just for nothing.
Yeah.
And I was researching all sorts of things. I was reading the scripture. Now, you know, when you're on that journey, it doesn't just change you overnight. I'm still on.
Yeah.
And that's what it meant to me.
They absolutely don't. And let me springboard off of DJ. Last week, the mission statement from Robbie's channel read something like this. I'm sorry, exactly like this. I cut and pasted it, Robbie, for posterity, because I knew what was coming down, and we'll get to that in 1 second. The channel's mission statement.
Let me just say what he just said. So Robbie had it like I have. You know, you have your little statement on your YouTube channel. If you all of a sudden decide that you're going to no longer believe in the flat earth, the first thing you should do is go and take down any statement on your channel that says that you think the earth's flat. That's the right thing to do. Mark is treating this as if he'd uncovered something. Let me read what the mission statement was before he took it down. Well, yeah, because he changed his belief. That's what you should do.
Promotes God's truth and expose the world lies. What if everything that NASA and science has taught you about the earth, sun, moon, stars, and space was a lie? What if Satan wanted to destroy the foundations of God's word with perverting the truth of the enclosed flat earth we live in from the very start? It might sound crazy, but take the journey and study this topic because it might be the most shocking truth we ever discovered about the world you live in. Open your Bible and read all the verses describing God's creation again. Evolution is a lie, and teaching nothing more than you were just an accident in a big bang. Monkey man science is all part of the Great Deception. Don't believe the lies. That was his mission statement last week. You know what it is this week? Crickets. It's gone.
Right.
Like, what do you replace it with? John something, I think. He initially replaced it with nothing, and then he replaced it with a single Bible verse. And then he replaced the enclosed world dome thing, which is described there, with a crown of thorns. And the headstone that you mentioned, basically, say out of the blue, this is where we're going to get into the meat of this. Out of the blue, Robbie Davidson, with no foreshadowing, no warning, says, "Oh, that's it. I'm a globalist now. Good night, everybody." It's like the followers of the channel, the people, just shockwaves absolutely sent through the flat earth Christian.
Except for the fact that he posted on Facebook exactly the reason why. Clearly, he didn't come up with that on a whim in a second. It's a whole post. It's a whole. It's written out. It's thought through. It's accurate. It clearly took time. So you're telling a story that just isn't the truth. He wrote these things out.
Because, like, where did the hell this come from? So, that being said, we lost Elizabeth again, by the way. There she is. Are you okay, Elizabeth? She's trying to reset her camera. She's okay.
I messaged you guys. I may have to switch to my phone because it is so bad. Apologies. I'm just like,
Here's what happened. that statement that DJ read may seem like a shock to you and a lot of people. However, for some of us, a few of us, it wasn't a shock at all. Now, I say that because I knew ahead of time it was coming, and I didn't say anything because I wanted to make sure, right? You know, just because you hear a tip, an insider tip, which I got, and it was a good one, and it wasn't just about him, I wasn't going to say anything, so I let it happen without trying to get ahead of it, because as my father said on numerous occasions, until it's happened, it hasn't. Granted, he was talking about people in turn signals most of the time, but whatever. I think it still applies. So the other thing about that statement, in fact, let me pull it up. I want to read it one more time. The other thing about that statement was, because for those who know Robbie Davidson, after much thought, research, and consideration, I've come to a new conclusion about the shape of the Earth. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I wish to act with integrity. I've changed my opinion based on new information that has been presented in Antarctic from the final experiment. I've not been paid, threatened, or compromised in any way. What was interesting to me is when I read that, it's like, huh, I know this text. In fact, I read it a full day earlier, but it wasn't from Robbie. Who wrote that text? Well, I have an email, which, oh, there she is. Hang on one second. Let me bring her back in.
I mean, these are just crazy ideas that because, and Robbie and Patricia are friends. They talk all the time. So, of course, Patricia sent, before she sent it to Mark, or around then, she sends what she's going to write to Mark to Robbie. And Robbie sees that line and says, oh, can I use that as well? Because I don't want people to think I've been compromised either.
There you are. All right, and I will. Oh,
goodness gracious.
Okay, kill off the other one, or kill the microphone on the other one.
There we go.
Hey, look at that. Hey, is that an Apple phone?
Yeah, I'm on my laptop. It's an HP, and I don't know why it's giving me such trouble. I thought that it would be better, but I don't know.
That looks great. This is way better.
Oh, it's not set to on. Damn it. From that statement is not from him. He did not write. All right, so sorry for the interruption. So Robbie closes, Robbie makes that statement. And the statement is not from him. That's the text from that statement is not from him. He did not write that. Where did he write it? Who wrote that text? Well, I don't know who the original writer is, but I read it a full one day later from Patricia Steer, who has not been outed officially in anything, which we'll get to.
A day later or a day before?
Day before. Didn't I say day before? So Saturday,
day after, yeah.
Robbie did that thing with the headstone. Mm-hmm. Friday, I received a personal message from Patricia, and only one, with an email, which I'm not going to read, but that text was in it. Robbie took that headstone.
So you notice he says he's not going to read it when she said, you can read this to the audience. In fact, I think it's a good idea. But again, she listed the reasons that the flat earth doesn't work, and Mark doesn't want that to be let out to the cult. You have to keep the cult from finding out that there's people leaving and they have good reason for leaving. You have to turn it into they're leaving because they've been paid. They're leaving because they've been compromised, so that everybody else in the cult now, I mean, imagine this. If somebody thinks, let's say you're a big name creator. I don't know who. I have to think of somebody off the top of my head. Who can I think of? Who does flat earth stuff now? I don't know. Level Earth Observer, just for example. I don't know. Let's say he starts thinking, I do have my doubts about this. I'm thinking of stepping down, but then Mark has told everybody that I've been paid off, Patricia's been paid off, and Robbie's been paid off. So nobody else is going to step down from the flat earth because they're not getting offers. So they're going to be like, why would I step down? I haven't gotten an offer like they did. I haven't got paid yet. Even though that's not at all how the world works, this is how Mark is portraying the world, which is insane.
And cut and paste directly from Patricia's letter into that headstone, which meant, at the very least, those two were in contact with each other. I don't necessarily want to throw out the word collusion.
Why they can't collude if they decide together that they don't believe it? Two people can't get together and be like, we don't believe this anymore?
But gone. If it's a bank robbery, accomplices, if I'm working a courtroom here, if I'm working a jury, I'm winning so far. Right?
There's no jury for people changing their beliefs.
Right? At this point, the jury's starting to squint.
There's no, what did they do wrong?
So,
that is shocking. Yeah.
DJ has told me on several occasions now and I will do so because Patricia was a co-host on this show, to give her as much benefit as I can. And I will.
That's what I want to do. And Patricia, if you're listening, nothing but love on my side. Just hoping that whatever you're going through, I just feel like we're all going through something, right? It's okay.
And I think that what's going on here, at least, and I haven't talked to Mark about this, I did send him a message today, but a lot of the things that I'm hearing are repeats of things that I've heard from people saying David Weiss said them. So that's why if you look at the thumbnail, You've got David Weiss I think David Weiss is in people's ears. Okay. He is being this little Satan character over here, and he's whispering to Mark, hey, I have inside information that Jaren is pulling people away from the flat earth, that they're getting paid, that they're getting houses. And this is why this all happened at the same time. And we got to put a stop to it. We got to put a stop to it before more people escape. So what we'll do is we will say this and this, and we'll, whatever they decide. That's what it seems like. Because I'm hearing, and I'm not trying to throw other people under the bus that have told me that, so I'm not going to say names, but people that Weiss has called have let it be known what Weiss said. And so they are similar things that we're hearing from other people. So it's clearly what it looks like to me, unless Mark is on his own and and then just happened to get the wording right that Dave Weiss is using. And this is not how you treat friends. This is not how you treat friends. Everything that we've done has been on the up and up. I got back. I knew I couldn't go another show with talking about the flat earth because I no longer believed it. So on my Christmas Eve show, I said, I'm no longer a flat earther. That the earth is, or that the predictions and the way the earth operates match the sphere model. Okay. That is okay for me to do. That's what I should do if I'm changing my opinion based on new evidence. Same thing with Robbie. Same thing with Patricia. They called me and said, hey, some questions about the trip. We got, I have this question. What do you think about this? How do you feel about this? What's your answer to this? And we talked, and so am I colluding with them? I didn't reach out to them and say, Robbie, you need to get off the flat earth right now. We hadn't talked to Robbie in a while. Okay. Robbie reached out to me because I was one of the few people that have changed my opinion, and he kind of wanted to get a feel, and we talked for an hour, and, he kind of made the decision that he thought he was going to do the same thing. So if you're going to hear in a second, they're going to say that they knew early, and I made the mistake of telling somebody, hey, I can't say anything yet, but these two people are thinking of leaving and maybe leaving in the coming days. Well, that person went and told Dave Weiss. So then Dave Weiss, getting this information that these two people are leaving, told Mark, hey, Jaren has these two people ready to leave. They're in his pocket, something like that. And then that turned into, I must be doing that. You'll hear Mark in this video say that Jaren is sent threatening emails or texts to 15 people. Again, this is when you can tell somebody's lying. Provide receipts. You can't, because there's no such thing as that. So why would we be demonized to the point that you have to lie about us? And I don't know whose mind lying about me was a good idea. When have I ever stood for that? When have I ever stood for that? It's the dumbest thing you could have done. Just be honest. Read Rob's exit letter. Read Patricia's exit letter and move the fuck on.
To question things, it's okay to leave, it's okay to change your mind. I mean, that's a part of this whole journey, but seeking the truth to me is still more important than anything. Right. And if that means people have to go about it in a roundabout way, then I'm going to try my best to not judge, because that's not my role and that's nobody's role here. But I see where you're coming from, Mark, and but I felt compelled to just try to at least get to the bottom of it, in the sense of, I mean, she was very open and upfront with it, saying, hey. But I get it doesn't look good, but
it doesn't look good. But again, that's why, again, I can't judge. However, I can influence the jury, and we're not done, because that story doesn't end there. So Saturday, Robbie drops out. Friday, Patricia privately drops out, right? One day between the two, Robbie uses her text. Therefore, at the bare minimum, they're in it together. But Mark,
so
did you know that Patricia was going to do it? Yes, I did. You see, I got advance notice that Patricia was going to do the same thing, and said nothing, because as my father said, until it's happened, it hasn't happened. A full day before Patricia contacted me, I got an inside tip. And before...
Ooh, an inside tip. I wonder who that's from. Could it be a man dressed in red?
That guy got an inside tip. He got a tip that went up through the grapevine. And the original tip was leaked by Jaren Campanella from Jeranism, who said, and I quote, 2 people in the Flat Earth community, content creators, are going to flip. I have them. They're in my pocket.
Okay, so Mark, when you lie, you have to provide receipts. So whoever said that, have them show you or show people that was ever said by me. Show a text message, show something. I'm giving permission to release private text messages. I never said, I have them in my pocket. I've got them. Nothing like that.
So, boasting to a degree is like, I was the one that turned them. It's like, oh.
He's just making that up. He's just making that up. There's a lot of people who have reached out and said, oh, I have to keep my name down. I'm leaving, and I can't say their names. So when these two didn't really say that, at no time did Patricia say, hey, you can't say my name, and neither did Rob. They just kind of, I guess, in a personal fashion, I probably shouldn't have said something, but the person I said it to, I thought would keep it to themselves. Of course, they went and told Dave Weiss, but that's fine. I don't mind that because I tell the truth. And so I don't have to worry about things when I tell the truth. Okay, when you lie on your show like you're doing here, Mark, you have to worry about things because they're going to start demanding evidence. They're going to start demanding receipts. I can show you the receipts of me talking to Patricia, of me talking to Robbie, and them saying, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I don't know yet. Still, right. So I just said, I think these people are going to flip soon. I think that they're close. Never said anything about them being in my pocket. I've got them. That's Mark's addition to the story.
Okay, so now we have a new wrinkle, which is, and he was 100% correct. How did Jaron know in advance with 100% accuracy that these two people were going to flip these two?
It wasn't 100% accuracy. I said, I think these two people might flip. They're close. But they need to do it on their own. I'm not having nothing to do with that. So you're just making up lies.
People did not have a change of heart, and they did within 1 day of each other. And then then the timeline gets a little fuzzy. And again, I'm not trying to connect too many dots here, but that also implies that the 500th show that we were on, Trisha was already there. I will give her the benefit of the doubt. She was there. She looked flawless. She was perfect.
I'm going to read some that Patricia wrote me. Just we'll catch up with her kind of recollection of what she's got. She said, Mark went on to quote from Robbie's statement where he wrote he had left the flat earth, but he'd not been paid or compromised in any way. He then read a portion of what Patricia Steer had sent him via Skype a day earlier where she had said the same quote. He claimed that he doesn't know who originally wrote the statement, but he read it a full day later from Patricia Steer. In fact, it was a day earlier. She had signed off by saying her decision to step away from Flat Earth was made on her own free will and that she was not paid, threatened, or compromised in any way. She sent the entire Skype message that ended in that quote to Mark and to DJ, the co-host. Later, she was talking to Robbie because they had been friends and kept in touch for years, and he told her that he was going to write a statement about leaving the Flat Earth, and he asked her what she told Mark. She sent Robbie a cut and paste of exactly what she sent to Mark and DJ, and after reading it, Robbie asked if he could borrow the line about not being paid, threatened, or compromised. And Patricia said sure. Patricia told DJ she'd written that line to Mark because he'd claimed earlier that it was a fact that Jaron had been, she'd written that line to Mark because he'd claimed earlier that it was a fact Jaron had been not paid but compromised. Okay, sorry. So he had said Jaron had been not paid but compromised. Patricia wanted to make sure that it was clear to Mark that her decision to step away was not because of any payment, threats, or compromise, so she wrote that line. Patricia had asked Mark for proof when they had that conversation, and Mark could not provide any proof regarding Jaron being compromised or threatened. There is no, I told people, you'll know I'm compromised if I come back and say the sun's 93 million miles away, or that, what was the other thing? That we're zooming through space or something, or no, that the moon landings happened. So I've come back, and I have not said those things. So at this point, you can erase that idea. I was not compromised, period. I was down there on my own free will. And it's so crazy because, like, there was nothing said when we were down there. Like, you would think, let's say they're going to fake the sun. They're going to fake something in a studio. They would tell us, like, oh, you can't take pictures over there. Oh, you can't go walk over there. You can't have your phone. We were not restricted from doing anything. I could have taken a photo of anything at any time. Nobody would stop me. That's not how you run some sort of a trick, some sort of a hoax, some sort of a operation that they're going to fool me and wits it. We're not going to know that they're putting a fake sun. They're passing off laser beam suns. These are the rantings and ravings of crazy people.
It was a great show. Thank you for that.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to finish this. Mark implied that there was some nefarious reason they both had the same line. Earlier the same day, Patricia had spoken on the phone to DJ, and he asked her about that, and she told him that he wanted to use that line because it reflected how Robbie felt, and she told him to go ahead and use it. So DJ knows how they came about. Mark knew DJ knew that, but went ahead on his show and made it something of a nefarious point, as if Patricia and Robbie had been directed to write that line by somebody else pulling the strings like a puppet. So again, they both know that. DJ and Mark are in the knowledge of, they've been told that no, it's because he read it, he wanted to say the same thing as me, so he used it. But still, he goes on his show and is acting like there's something going on here.
Did Patricia know that right after that show was over, she was gone? Maybe not, but Jaron did. So if that's the case, hey, you know what? Gold star, great, fantastic, great. If she was doing that out of professional courtesy in showbiz, that happens all the time. Hey, I want to have Mark do a good show, everything. But there was a bit of a disconnect because right after, on Friday when she sent me the email, which I'm not going to read because I'm not going to give you the soundbite, and she encouraged me to read it on air, which I'm not going to because it sounds basically like a globalist recruitment letter.
It's not a globalist recruitment letter. It's her stating the problems with the flat Earth. So this is the mindset of flat earthers, that if somebody's saying there's problems with the flat Earth, then that's a globalist recruitment letter, and it's not worth reading to the audience. So I'm starting to think now that flat earthers are being lied to the point where they don't even know when there is problems with the flat Earth because it's hidden. So no wonder why when I start coming out with these things, people just flipped out and wrote me off completely. It's because they should have been known. I was saying them on my channel, but maybe channels like this were hiding them. Let me continue reading here. From Patricia, she says, more lies. Mark implied that Patricia had flipped globe before being on his 500 show, which was untrue. Untrue. So that show, although Patricia was having feelings of confusion regarding the Antarctica trip and what it implied, she did the 500 show in honor of Mark out of respect and stepped down soon after. Patricia hadn't flipped to a globe. She just had doubts about the AE map validity after they saw the 24-hour sun and also had seen the rocket video she couldn't explain. She hadn't been told to flip globe by Jaren or Will or Mark, or as Mark implied. She hasn't been paid and will now live off in luxury, as Mark said without proof. She already lives in luxury. Sorry, it's the first time reading that. She already lives in luxury and has for years. Patricia had been saying, what is in the sky doesn't reflect what's going on the ground, and false dichotomy, like most other flat earthers regarding Earth's shape, but one day she just felt repeating this mantra was making her feel wrong. So she started having doubts. So again, it is something that needs to be stopped being said by flat earthers. You are not allowed to make up rules for evidence. You cannot say, oh, we don't look in the sky to show it'd be like you saying, we don't look in people's urine to see whether or not they're pregnant. Yes, we do, because it's evidence, and we know that there's certain enzymes in the urine that will tell you whether a girl's pregnant or not. So you can look in the toilet to figure out if a girl's pregnant. You cannot just make up the rule, we don't look in the toilet to see if a girl's pregnant. No, we do, because it provides evidence. The sky provides evidence of where we live. Why is that? It's because the sun has a known orbit. It is known. There's no questions. So if you know the orbit of something in the sky, you can then be handed a map, and if the map matches the observations, then the map is correct. If the map does not match observations, then you don't live on that map. So whoever told you, and I believe it's Dave Weiss again, who just basically switched using something that we used to use. Here's the equivalent of it. This is what they're saying. When they say, hey, we don't look at the lights in the sky to prove the shape of the Earth, what they're saying is the lights in the sky prove the sphere, so we don't accept that. That's what they're saying. The evidence from the sky proves the Earth's a sphere. Why would we use that? We're flat earthers. We don't use that. That's what they're doing. Should that be allowed? Should we be allowed to say we don't look? It's like somebody saying we don't look at the saliva on a cigarette to prove the murderer of this crime. Yeah, we do, because there's DNA on it. And the DNA can actually pick out one person that could be guilty. So we do that. You don't just get to make up a rule where you're like, we don't look at cigarettes DNA to figure out the murderer of a crime. Yes, you do. It's evidence. Why would we ignore evidence? There's no rule that says that, oh, you can't look at, and again, where that came from, just so people recognize, we used to say that because somebody would say, the sun is a sphere, the moon is a sphere, therefore we live on a sphere. Now at that point, you can say, no, that doesn't follow. That's a non sequitur. It doesn't follow. You can't look at things in the sky at their shape and say we live on that shape. That's not what they're doing. What we're doing is saying the known orbit of the sun has to jive. It's an observation, and it has to jive with the map, or else the map is wrong. The sun's not wrong. The sun is doing a known orbit, staying above a known tropic, doing it in 24 hours. We know that. Everything is based on the damn sun, from your clocks to your watches, sundials. I mean, you name it. Seasons, as far as growing season, vegetable, all that stuff. There's so many things that are done because of the sun, because it's a timepiece. So we can use lights in the sky to determine the shape of the ground. Stop saying shit that makes you sound ridiculous. You don't get to make up rules to evidence. just because you're a flat earther. You don't get special pleading. You don't get special rules. Imagine if the sun proved the flat earth. Do you think they would say, yeah, it does prove the flat earth, but we don't look at lights in the sky and decide the shape of the ground? Of course not. So this is like basically fourth graders or something arguing over some stupid thing. I mean, that's the kind of thing that would be said, you know. No, you can't tag me on, I'm not it because I was on this rock, you know. Well, who said, you came up with that rule? So it's the kind of the same thing. They're just making up shit. We say here, we'll continue this line. Patricia had been saying what is in the sky doesn't reflect what's on the ground, and false dichotomy, which is another thing that's a problem. A false dichotomy means there's another option. There are two options: sphere Earth, flat Earth. Sphere Earth, AE flat Earth. That's it. If you think it's a false dichotomy, you need to provide a third option, and nobody's ever had one of those. Because there's nothing else. What are you going to do? How are the continents going to be laid out on something else? They cannot be. Okay? And one other thing I wanted to bring up that I forgot to mention, on that sphere model that we were playing with, it would be impossible if we lived anywhere else to map it onto a globe and it match observations. Again, one more time. It would be impossible. You can do projectionist. You can have a flat world and you could say, hey, Mr. Projectionist, Mr. Mapmaker, can you please project this flat ground onto that sphere? They would be able to do it. Yep, we can do it mathematically. Great. Now, how are they going to make that new sphere, which is fake, they don't actually live there, they live on a flat Earth. How are they going to make the sun going around the flat Earth jive with the observations on the sphere? It's impossible. You cannot lie to people about where they live unless nobody cares about observations. But people do care about observations. In fact, it's how boats went around. Everything was with the sun. Traveling, longitude, latitude, all that comes from it. So that's the weird thing here, is it just seems like what flat Earth has become is this like a stubborn kid that you can't get to leave your house. Okay? There is no place at scientific discussions for ideas that have no map, no model, no explanations, no predictions. That's what the final experiment did. Who would have thought that the final experiment would become the final experiment? We all had problems with the name of it. Even I had a problem with the name of it. I don't know about final. I don't believe in proof. But I do believe that something can be falsified, and falsified like a little bitch. And that's what happened to the flat Earth. I feel responsible for some of that we all kind of closed our eyes to things and kind of thought, oh, it'll come along, we'll figure it out, we'll talk about it. But nobody was doing any work. Nobody was doing anything at all. They were just continuing. And I think that one of the reasons might be back in the day when we used to do videos, if you remember 2015, 2016, there was no such thing as live streaming. Okay? So you used to have to research, put together a nice quality video, and then release that video, and it was filled with information, and people liked it, and that's what was a good time in the YouTube days. When live streaming came along, people all gave up the research. Why? Because there's no money there. There's nothing there. Just time and not a lot of glory in making videos and doing good research. So instead, everybody does live streams in which they talk about each other and other channels and other things going on. So the ideas of, oh, we'll figure it out, somebody will figure out how the sun works on a flat Earth, became who? Who's going to work on that? Who's doing any research? Who's doing any work on that? Not very many people. So, for the flat Earth, it's time. Time for it to go. Let's continue. I'm going to read this. All right, so we started having doubts. So she started having doubts, especially after the community attacked Jaron and Whitsitt because they'd even gone to Antarctica. After the trip with statements that the sun was out there in Antarctica by Satan, or it was filmed in a giant studio full of LEDs, or the crew had never actually gone to Antarctica, didn't sit right with Patricia. She felt that they'd gone and seen the sun, not set, but wondered why Dave didn't add a little disclaimer to his app stating that during a certain time of year, the app isn't correct around Antarctica. Also, Mark kept advertising the app on Strangeworld, and it made her uncomfortable. She asked Mark if the show could stop promoting it for a while until we could get it sorted out. Mark said no. That's a good app. This gave her a feeling of loss of confidence in Mark and the community in general, and she started feeling like she needed to step down from Flat Earth in a private, quiet way without fanfare. She'd long ago removed all AE maps from her re-uploaded videos in her channel. Yes. Which part did you want? Correct. Yes. So even though he implied that she did know about it in the 500 show, she said she was starting to think about it, but she didn't know it, never made that decision yet. What is this? Oh. Oh, boy. Sorry, I just read. No, some of these things, because what I asked Patricia, I said, can you just give me because rather than go through the entire video, I just said, can you write some of the things that we picked out that were not truth? So she was just saying now, that'll start a whole conspiracy, but it's fine. Basically, I asked her for this because it helps me to go through it. This one's tomorrow. Everything's okay, good. Mark lied, said that Duffy is doing a second documentary with MC Toon. That is not true. Also, after Patricia sent her letter to Mark on Skype, he never responded. And what she wrote, and he cut contact. So yeah, that's basically the story there. Okay, we'll watch a little bit more here. Because there's some things. So another thing, this is bothersome to me. I think what must happen is that it's a possibility that Dave Weiss pays Mark Sargent to run his ad. Okay? Why would anybody, after being told that the entire Flat Earth community's information has been compromised and is leaking data, why would you continue to promote the app? How would you not care about it being secure prior to...
I'm looking at chat.
Meetups in several different ways. Sort by date.
So he continued, and this is Patricia's thing. She said, well, the map is not correct anymore. The map's been debunked. So can we not sell the app? And he said, no, it's a good app, even though it's leaking data. And he's basically... So how much do you get paid, Mark, to sell out the Flat Earth community's data, is my question. Because it's still not secure today. In fact, MC Toon is supposedly doing some presentation at NASA where he's talking about the fact that this app has been opened for months. And it's one of those things where, you think you'd be able to go to Apple and say, hey, this app that you're putting on your store is not securing people's data, but I think that they've tried that and they're not getting anywhere. So now they actually have to give a presentation. Rather than just Weiss recognize that it's important. And here's the thing. If he doesn't care about my livelihood, he doesn't care about saying that I'm being paid off, which actually puts me in danger, doesn't care about my address being leaked, and I've been a friend for 10 years, why would he give a shit about any of you? If you think he cares about your data, but just doesn't care that mine got leaked, that doesn't make sense, right? So if I'm his friend, and he doesn't care that my data got leaked, never said he's sorry, not once, then why would he care about your data? And the answer is, it doesn't seem that he does. Oops. What happened?
Back on this. You ready? So Will Duffy goes off on this tear. He starts naming names, which I'm doing now. He's naming names, right? Jaron and Robbie Davidson and Rose 777. By the way, Rose, if you're listening to this, you might want to get ahead of that because Will Duffy's telling everybody you've been flipped. And so far, he's batting 1,000. No offense to Rose. I love you, dear. I've spent time with you. But you got to get ahead of this because Will's telling everybody you're gone. And if you're not gone, you got to settle this one way or the other.
You got to settle this one way or the other. You cannot be in the middle. You better pick a team here. Are you in the cult or are you out of the cult? We need to know right now. You better get ahead of this. What's going on with the cult? Are you in the cult? Yeah. Funny stuff.
And thank you, DJ, for mentioning that. Here's why I know this. Because Robbie loves social media.
Let me go back here. We're going to see what we missed.
And I believe that. And by the way, I believe that with every one of them. And let's address that, which is, and I typed this to you guys in chat at one point. Just because you turned someone doesn't mean you can make them believe in it, right? You can have them say everything you want, right? You can dress them up and make them act in a certain way, but to have them believe it in their heart, good luck. That's impossible. Which is why Robbie Davidson, by the way, if you went to like celebratretruth.org, which he had to tear down. Oh, sorry. Let's get to the finer points of that. I watched Robbie Davidson. Okay, first off, Jaron has been burning. Okay, let's
he's like Jaron flipping out.
I know. Well, my head's going like in 6 different directions.
Yeah, take your time. You got this.
All right. So Jaron has been burning.
Your head's going in 6 different directions because you're not just being honest with people. Like I said, Robbie, step down. Read his statement if you want to do that. Patricia stepped down. She's a host on the show and has been for years. So why not just read her statement and let her go, like she said, without fanfare? Instead, you've turned this into some sort of conspiracy again, rather than just take things for the way that they are. There's nobody who's colluded with me, pushed me at all. There's simply my own headstrongness, or whatever you want to call it, my own inability to see evidence for what it was. I don't know what it was about the trip, other than it seemed that it kept hitting on every point. The globe kept getting proven. I got back in the plane. We were flying back to Dallas or whatever it was that we flew to, and I watched the sun and it just I understood it finally. And I said, oh shit, I mean, the sun does everything. The sun explains everything. God gave us his one and only son to be the guiding light. And if you pay attention to the sun, you can know where you live. Now, if you have a flat earth belief and you don't care about anything else and you know the earth's flat because it can't be a sphere, then you're going to make up whatever excuse you can, and you're going to say things like, we don't look at lights in the sky. It's just that we don't look at, it's an apparent position. It's a multiple position. It's apparent. They use a mean sun in the globe, so we can use an apparent sun. No, it's all garbage. The flat earth cannot predict anything. So let's drop it. Now, the problem is I don't have flat earthers listening to me anymore. So how do we get this information to them? Well, it would be helpful if people like Mark would, if he really cared about the truth, you would give out the truthful information. You wouldn't hide things from people and try to keep the cult going with as little damage to it as possible.
Down his channel. I know I defended him. I know I made videos, and I made the quick joke about, hey, you haven't seen Jaron driving a new BMW. Boy, that came back to bite me, but in a completely different fashion. And Jaron, and now Jaron is, oh no, he is absolutely gone. He is compromised in no unquestioning terms.
I mean, what do you think this does for my belief in flat earth? If we've got this guy, he's compromised in no unquestioning terms. Mark's so smart that he knows I'm compromised, but I'm not. So now this is the same thing we heard from RV when he would say, Jaron's a shill, 100% guaranteed. Well, now I don't listen to RV anymore. You're not going to tell people you're 100% sure of something that I know is not true because you just ruined your reputation with me. Same thing with Eric Dubé, flip-flopper Dubé. Somebody who has a book, 200 proofs, we say we're going down to Antarctica, and he goes, oh, well, a couple of those aren't actually, I mean, it could be any, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference. But your proofs don't make, okay? Then we come back and he flips that to, oh no, it's faked. So these are just fly by day, fly by night, do whatever they want, kind of, nobody cares. They're just whatever. And those are the people that should be demonized. Instead, that guy's put up on a platform. Somebody like me that goes down and tells you the truth and sticks to my story from day one, where I said, no, we've all known that the 24-hour sun does not work on a flat earth. We've known that for 10 years. If I go down and see the sun circle my head for 4 days, I will come back and say that the earth conforms to a sphere, or that all observations match the sphere model. I went down there, saw exactly that, and came back and said exactly that. Heaven forbid, now you're going to tell people that I'm compromised and that this and this bullshit. That sounds to me like you're protecting the cult. People should be allowed to change their decision, and if they take the things I say and use that to change, then you should allow them to do that. I'm somebody who's done this for 10 years. If anybody knows flat earth, the ins and outs of it, it's me. It's not Dave Weiss who makes up whatever theory he wants on the whim. I'm showing people that a rocket that takes off from 175 miles away from me doesn't appear on my horizon until 1 minute and 5 seconds after it launched. Where was the rocket for 1 minute and 5 seconds? Dave Weiss comes out with a video saying, here's where the rocket is for 1 minute and 5 seconds, and makes a claim that 20,000 foot high clouds all congeal down to the horizon line and hide the rocket until it's above 20,000 feet. I don't know if I said feet or miles. I meant 20,000 feet. Here's the problem with that idea. All you have to do is just think, well, let's see here. So at 175 miles away, the 20,000 foot clouds all go down and become so slivered, just a little slant. They're like the line of the horizon, and that blocks the rocket behind it. So somebody want to explain to me why other things that are 175 miles, like Canigou, are seen? Canigou is only 9,000 feet tall. That's weird. Shouldn't the 20,000 foot clouds all congeal down to the horizon and hide the entire mountain behind it? That's what Dave Weiss is saying. That the rocket is behind the clouds, then Canigou must be twice as deep behind the clouds. He's making shit up. If we go look at that video, I actually want to do that right now. Let's look at that video. What do you think the chances are that any flat earther says you're wrong, Dave? Or do you think that they're all such cult members that they're going to be like, you got him, you nailed Jaron, you proved it. You proved it so well, Dave. Look at you prove it. Let's see. Let's see Dave prove it. Let's see what
I know I made videos.
I want to have high aspirations. I want to hope that the people actually say, Dave, this doesn't work. We can look at the buildings across Lake Michigan in Chicago. They're 1,800 feet tall. They're not blocked by 20,000 foot clouds.
But perceives it as his horizontal eye zone or horizon.
Okay.
The heliocentric.
I mean, he's just making things up. He's sitting down going, what do I need to say to get so people in the flat earth just believe me? Well, why does a person watching a rocket from 180 miles away see the rocket come up from the horizon much later than somebody watching up close? Like 1 minute and 5 seconds? It's because, I don't even know what this picture is.
Now let's take a look on what it would look like from far away if perspective did not exist.
So this is what it would look like if perspective did not exist. So the clouds are blocking. What about somebody close? They also see the clouds? It's such garbage. It's such garbage. Let's read down here and see what we get. Oh, first person is me. Weird how clouds are always behind the buildings across Lake Michigan and just make up 20,000 feet. That's some honesty right there. So for 1 minute and 5 seconds, the rocket exists in vanish land. What if there's no clouds on that day? Laser beam fake rockets? Satan holds it down. Where's the 20,000 foot clouds reduced to zero at Canigou? Canigou is 175 miles away and is 9,000 feet tall. So according to your bullshit made up answer, Canigou should... Sorry, I had to reach over there. Canigou should be the size of the horizon. You're getting dumber and dumber. Maybe get Marty Leeds to tell you how faking the sun is easier than faking a rocket launch. Desperation, Dave. We'll go to any lengths, even lying about friends, to save his ass, app. Dave, why are there 1,800-foot buildings seen across in Chicago? That 20K foot cloud deck should cover them. Do you even think anymore? Appears not. Nanobots are coming to get me. Let's see what we get from these people. Apparently, when you become a glober, you instantly forget how everything works and how all arguments you've been making for the last 12 years work. Look at that. So this person has bought into Dave and thinks that they debunked me. Yep, apparently when you become a glober, you forget how things work. No, I know how things work. I'm not making shit up that you just believe because you're a flat earther. Was hoping this Jaren proof would get covered. I watched fireworks from 4 miles away. They looked like they were a foot off the ground. I was following Jaren maybe 9-10 years ago for all the conspiracy theories, way before I discovered Flat Earth Dave. For some unexplained reason, I never liked Jaren. His whole attitude, voice, manner of speaking, had the second layer of some energy that repeals. I have extra sensitivity to speech and body language. Another body language expert. Without even studying it. Oh, wow. Wow, that's impressive, man. People who have gone to school must be really jealous of you. And it always appears... and it always recognized lies and deception. I'm sure we don't even need lie detector tests. Let's get this guy. We'll call it the Jeranism test. Are you willing to take a Jeranism test? Because that's the true determination. I hate the Wikipedia bar below the description, scoundrels. I hope Jaren wakes up. It's sad for me to see him not realize what he's doing. Yeah, I'm giving you evidence. You asked for evidence of the curvature of the Earth. I said, oh, that's weird. I remember seeing that rocket in my backyard, and we went and rewound it. We're like, wait, it doesn't jive. It seems like we see it way too late. And then I said, well, let me go film one and see what happens. People have already said, they're like, oh, you're just doing an affirming the consequent. I said, no. Let me tell you what I did. I found out when there would be a launch. By the way, there's a launch on Friday night, 7 o'clock after my show. I'm going to go film that. The night ones are better. I tried filming a day one the other day. And do you guys know, for everybody who thinks rocket launches are fake, because that's the line that you're going to hear from Mark Sargent in a little bit, that they are now launching about 320 rockets a year. Does that sound like something that's fake to you? Do you really think if you're going to fake rocket launches, wouldn't you launch 6 a year? Nah, let's step it up to 320. Well, let's just fake it 320 times, because that makes sense. It's like people cannot think anymore. Given that sunsets are affected by 6,000 miles of cloud deck, I was wondering how 177 miles of clouds would affect what is observed about rocket launches. What I like about Dave is he takes a topic that can seem quite difficult to explain to lay people and make it quite obvious. This is another such case. Thanks, Dave. Appreciated. I mean, this is a problem. And I think the sad part is, and I've known this, and I remember telling some people, I'm like, you know what? People trust me so much, I could really say anything, and they would believe me. And that was the truth. Flat Earth had gotten to the point where I was like, I just need to say something about Flat Earth, and they'll believe me. I never did it. I'm not trying to lie to people, but I knew that. And so I think people have realized that, and they're now taking advantage of it. Dave, I have what some people may think is a ridiculous question, but I thought that maybe you can explain it. For Purple Mountain's majesty, it's true. I've always wondered why in the distance our hillsides and mountains appear purple, but it doesn't show up in large images we are shown from above our atmosphere. I asked a science teacher this question. Okay, I don't know what that's talking about. Whoever wrote the paper gets A+ and a gold star. Wow. Thanks. How does TFE disprove flat Earth? Oh, let's read this. I'm sure there's some good stuff here. It doesn't. Right, good answer. It doesn't, but it's the path of the sun from September to March does debunk the A.E. Gleason's projection ice wall cosmology theory. Okay, so vegan flat Earth. Just so you know that that's the only map there'll ever be. So you, sir, welcome to the globe. Welcome to the globe. That's not a proven fact until the rat is trapped. Don't know what that means. Amen. This whole thing about Robbie Davidson is very strange. He's now a glober and not a Christian anymore. Nobody ever. When does he say that? People just make up shit. Ever found a slope on oceans? Must be exciting. They don't understand. We explained it many times. They don't care. David, your voice is so different. Brilliant. Okay. It's not brilliant. It's made up. Thank you, Dave. I love you, brother. Is anyone working on a practical demonstration of the sun? We don't do that. We don't have models. We don't worry about that. We just say we don't have a model. We don't make claims. Don't you know this? Thought you knew. Jaren is a clown. Thank you very much. Red on rocket launcher. Yeah, I can see why you call me a clown, because I'm just destroying your belief. I don't know why you can't just suck it up. We're not always right. Sometimes we're wrong. And when you're wrong, the correct thing to do is to say, my bad, I was wrong. But no, instead people are going to just pretend like, I mean, if you didn't know this, flat earthers are so smart, they cannot be wrong. Pretty impressive. I still don't understand gravity or buoyancy. Thank you, Byron. Sincerely, good video, Dave. Did you see Jaren's 8 proofs of the globe episode? I think it was his number 3 proof where he said that the sun goes in the opposite direction, west to east. No, I never said that. Oh, boy. In the southern hemisphere, and that the sun makes a left turn on the Tropic of Capricorn. Not right, as it should appear on the AE model. Right. This should be really easy to confirm or debunk, as millions live south of the Tropic of Capricorn. Correct. Jaren does make a couple of interesting points in that episode, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on his 8 proofs, especially the sun turning left of the Tropic of Capricorn. Thank you very much, Jeremy Miller. Guess what? You've just proven to yourself that the Earth is not flat and is in fact a sphere. So what we should see is if flat earthers would actually have some fucking balls, stand up for yourselves and say, I was wrong. Time to move towards the truth. There's a few of us now. You can reach out and talk to, there's Nick Havoc, myself, Robbie. I mean, there's others. And a lot of people do not feel safe coming out yet. That's it. Oh, wait, let's see what there's answers. Let's see what the answers are. Flatzoid even documented the winter solstice sun in South Africa rising at an angle from low right to high left. Correct. Yes, but it's still east to west, see compass. Yeah, I never said it went opposite direction. It goes backwards, meaning that it goes right to left when you're in the southern circle, and it goes left to right when you're in the northern circle. It's always going to be east to west. That's the way it goes. Yes, still east to west, but path of Tropic of Capricorn turning away from the north towards the south. Correct, because only a globe can explain that. If you called someone directly north of you that lived on the Tropic of Capricorn, they will tell you the sun behaves as expected. What? If you called somebody directly north of you that lived on the Tropic of Capricorn, so they live in the south on the Tropic, okay, they'll tell you the sun, what do you mean as expected? It is the sun in the Antarctic that doesn't behave as you expect. No, the sun sets, as we showed you, right to left. Why is it going right to left? It has to go left to right. It's got to get over to Australia. Here's how easy it is. When we were in Antarctica, picture the flat Earth map if you could. We were in Antarctica looking south. You know what that means? We were looking into nothingness. We were looking into the abyss. It's the end of the flat Earth map. And guess what we saw there? The sun. When we called people and said, hey, where's the sun? People in Australia said, it's above our heads. Well, that seems weird. It's above your heads. We're looking at it to our south. Is there any model that says that the sun would be over there and that Australia would be underneath it over there? Oh, that's right. There's a model called the sphere. End of story. There is no more question. This should be done. We should all be thanking Will Duffy for ending a 10-year spiral into Cagada land. Mierda land. Now, is it a psyop? Part of me still thinks yes. Part of me thinks that there's no reason why the 2 times that they had an opportunity to prove the globe, both times were faked. Stephen Hawking faked his experiment. Nat Geo faked their experiment. Behind the Curve faked my experiment. So I understand flat earthers. Let's get past that point. Just because these dirtballs fake their tests doesn't mean that we can't know for ourselves without their help the shape of the earth. Now, I've already voiced my opinion. I'm talking to that guy, John Tiller from the Ars Technica, and I've already told him now that he's come to the conclusion that they did fake that test. I said, you need to contact PBS. They need to go back. They need to do it again. You cannot lie. You cannot be science and lie to people and then wonder, oh, why? What causes this inability to maintain a, what does he say? What causes this stubborn refusal to accept reality? You're faking science. Okay? Am I saying flat earthers have been the utmost respectable people? No, but I'm saying if you're wondering why there are flat earthers or why people deny science, it might have something to do with the 2 times you had an opportunity to prove the shape of the earth to the world and you chose to lie. That's on you. That's on you. Okay? I don't understand. If the sun is in the Antarctic, that doesn't behave as you expect. However, in my opinion, there's only one real sun. Think about rainbows. There are visible objects, but not tangible. Correct. There's only one sun. People all want to say there's 2 suns. What if there's the 3 suns? We got DJ saying that. Like, what's wrong with people believing in 2 suns? What do you mean there's never been 2 suns filmed? If you're talking about like a little flare or a little lens flare next to the sun, I'm talking about at no time in the history of the world has anyone filmed 2 suns, zoomed into both of them, and they both have sunspots. It's never happened. So I'm pretty sure if we're looking for evidence, the thing that has never happened, there's no evidence of, probably is not the case. Okay? So I guess that's it. So it's not as bad as I thought. I thought there'd be a lot more people saying glory, glory be, glory A, glory B. I don't see anybody saying that. Thank goodness, because it would upset me. It would upset me. So let me just tell you, it's not that bad in Globeville. Okay, now you don't have to then say, I feel like I'm on a globe. I don't feel like I'm on a globe. I think the globe is counterintuitive. I think that it's a little bit strange. I think that hanging on nothing on a globe is very strange. I think having down be the center of a sphere is very strange. It doesn't mean that it's false. The evidence is there. Why would you go against the evidence for your own whims and fancies? Come over to the globe side. We hang out on Fridays and we just hang out. We just have some good time. Globe? All right. So anyway, let's keep going. We've got, I think this is pretty much done. I don't want to harp on about these guys. If you watch this, you'll notice that the entire show is Mark lying.
He has burned down his channel. 1,000 videos are gone. 7.
People know why my channel's gone. People know why my videos are gone. Because a certain Bart Cybrell gave me 14 copyrights in one day and said, I've done 2 takedown strikes. If you don't remove these 14 videos, I'm going to do a 3rd and you're going to lose your channel. So I had a choice to make. Do I just pull down the 2 that he said and leave up all my other videos, which would give YouTube a chance to go in and strike any one of them and my channel will be gone? Or do I take down every video, wait the 3 months or whatever, and then have my channel back and not lose my subs? I chose to not lose my channel. All my videos are still on Odyssey. But Mark, you're just making shit up. Saying like, oh, he burned down his channel, da-da-da-da. You're acting like you have some sort of authority or some sort of knowledge here, and you're just lying.
Years worth of content are gone, and he didn't make them private, meaning he burned them down, and that kills your metrics as well, just so you guys know. If you delete 1 million hits worth of videos, you now lose 1 million hits worth of metric.
What are hits and metrics for? Do I get a star or something? I don't understand what I went from 14 million views to 12 million. Now I'll never be able to have sex again. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about?
Then your social media just gets screwed up.
My social media gets screwed up because I have 14 million views instead of 16 million? You are out to lunch.
It's not like a high score. So when you go into a channel, it says, 48 million hits, right? It's not like a high score. It doesn't stay there. If you delete the videos, well, then you have less and less. And technically, if you deleted all your videos, it go down to 0.
Right. So what?
I don't know if Jaron knew that. So when he deleted like the first 800 videos, 7 years of his life, just for no apparent reason, his metrics just got shot down.
What happened? But I don't understand what happens then. Maybe it happens in the future and it's not yet. All right.
The rumor has it, the same inside scoop that gave him the tip that
David Weiss?
That Jaron was already calling the shots and, or at least
Oh, I'm now calling the shots. Now I'm in charge.
calling, who was going to go down.
Yeah, I'm calling who's going to go down. This is good to tell people. Tell your whole audience just made up shit about me. Like I don't already have it hard enough. I've been the black sheep of the flat earth since 6 months before the trip because I was the only one willing to be honest while you guys sit here and lie to your audience.
Said that Jaron will eventually, it's just a matter of time. I don't know what the date, I don't know what they're waiting for. Maybe they're waiting for the documentary, but Jaron's channel will eventually just go dark.
What does that mean? Thanks for that prediction. My channel will go dark?
It's gonna be wiped out. Very similar to what Patricia's channel is. Patricia, by the way, deleted all her videos.
That's not true. Patricia did not delete all her videos, and she's got screenshots here showing me that they're all in private. Mark is just making shit up.
Gone. In fact, only the skeleton remains. And
false.
And I'm not even sure why that's up.
Or they just are public or private.
No, they're gone.
No, they're not. They're private.
They're absolutely gone. And thank you, DJ, for mentioning that. Here's why I know that.
I mean, you even saw him put his head down, DJ, because he knows. And he's just letting Mark just steamroll him and make up the story. He's like, no, they're on private. And he's like, no, they're not. No.
Only the skeleton remains, and I'm not even sure why that's up.
Or they just are public or private.
No, they're gone. They're absolutely gone. And thank you, DJ, for mentioning that. Here's why I know this.
How do
Because
you know
Robbie loves social media, and I watched him try to hide, because you can make your videos private. You guys ever wanted to delete your
That's what he just said. Their
channels,
videos are
don't, and
private.
you like your videos, don't delete the videos. Just make them private. The hit count stays. They're just private in case you change your mind. Or you're looking them in the background. It's the private setting has multiple purposes. So Robbie, who had, 690 videos, give or take, is down to like 200 and change. He has selectively hidden, made private, 400 and something videos. The hit count is still at 20 million. I'm watching everything you're doing, Robbie. He changed.
Why? What are you watching what he's doing for? What's wrong with you?
He changed the banner, he changed the mission statements, and then he went into Celebrate Truth. What was hard?
Isn't that what people should do? Should he have left up the Flat Earth banner like you? Should he keep selling a debunked map app? Should he trap people into a cult with lies, deception, fake stories?
Heartbreaking. Was going, you've seen, remember, celebratetruth.org. That's gone. That's replaced with literal Will Duffy text.
What?
Okay.
It's replaced with literal Will Duffy text. What was it?
That segues into Will Duffy.
You telling the truth? Oh.
Don't know. This is exclusive, just for you guys.
Well, it's exclusive. Let me guess. Was it a little red man on your shoulder?
Breaking news, everybody.
Breaking news. Okay.
Does he have a big nose?
Okay. Here's
Does he like money?
Red and white.
One of the subtitles of the show should be "Things You Could Have Done Better." I critique movies all the time out loud. I'm watching TVs and television shows. It's like, yeah, that's not what you do in that scene. You do this, this, and this. Could have been a Hollywood writer.
And yeah, you could have been a lot of things. Could have been president, probably. Porn star, a lot of things you could have done. But you chose this.
And people have accused me of being a Hollywood writer.
Okay.
Will Duffy goes on the debate with Nathan Thompson and pushes his buttons hard. But in the beginning, it was just a propaganda fest, which was Will Duffy's trying to sell the movie. He just keeps trying to.
It's a propaganda fest. It's a debate, and it's called an opening statement. So just because somebody says things differently than you believe, it doesn't become a propaganda statement. It's an opening statement or propaganda piece, whatever you said. Just, we don't need to demonize the other side like that. Like, it is clearly the case that the flat earth can no longer be in debates. They shouldn't be in any debates. If I was in a debate with a flat earther, which I don't have any intent on doing, I would stick to simply asking, where is the South Pole? How is there a South Celestial Pole? Why does the sun set right to left in the south? Why does it go backwards and upside down? Why is there circumpolar stars in the south that is impossible on a flat map? And I would not leave from there. Because they can't ask you anything that you can't explain as a glober. You'll be able to explain it all. But them, they can't even get off the ground.
To sell it, which is the exodus that is now happening, right? The exodus of people that are leaving flat earth. And you can watch it. It's literally in the first part of the debate. Just Will Duffy's, that's his opening statement. It's like, look at all the people that are leaving because Nathan said that nobody leaves flat earth. Hell, I've said it. Nobody did.
That's why he said it, because Nathan said in his opening statement, and by the way, once you globe, what is it? Once you globe flat, once you go flat, you don't globe back. And then it was, okay, next, and okay, here's Will Duffy. And Will Duffy's like, can you admit that you lied? That statement you just made is a false statement, because Jaron went back and then he named some other people.
Flat earth. For 10 years, nobody left flat earth. And then all of a sudden.
Not for 10 years, nobody left flat earth. That's a lie. There's many people that have left flat earth, from Ranty to, what's the other guy's name? I forgot his name. and Rachie, and you've got tons of people that just didn't tell you, and there's tons of people that just disappeared. What about Tiger Dan? I mean, I need to apologize to Tiger Dan right now. It keeps bugging me. I don't know if the guy's still alive. If you are, Tiger Dan, let's have a show where you can make fun of me, because it was 7 years ago, where you did a video saying Antarctica is what they tell us. It's at the bottom of a ball. And I made a video back saying, you're an idiot, you're a loser, you go off and do your own thing. We'll stay here, the big boys will stay here and take care of this. And you took off. And 8 years later, I realized, oh shit. Oops. You kind of were...
Absolutely correct, sir.
Yeah, so, what are you going to do? Sorry, Tiger Dan.
For some strange reason, giant content creators, well, not giant content creators, but more low-hanging
giant
fruit. This is where it gets interesting. And I want both your feedback on this. You ready? So Will Duffy goes off on this tear. He starts naming names, which I'm doing now. He's naming names, right? Jaron and Robbie Davidson and Rose 777. By the way, Rose, if you're listening to this, you might want to get ahead of
Thank you very much. Seek truth, speak truth. Thank you very much.
that, because Will Duffy's telling everybody you've been flipped. And so far, he's batting 1,000. No offense to Rose. I love you, dear. I've spent time with you.
Doesn't he seem like these two are just sitting there just all calm, and this guy's just so out of his mind wired? Like, it's like he sounds like
going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty.
Sounds pretty close. Listen.
But you got to get ahead of this, because Will's telling everybody you're gone. And if you're not gone, you got to settle this one way or the other. All right?
Okay.
Will Duffy's rattling off all sorts of names.
Triggered much?
And then he just ends. You know the one name that he didn't mention? You want to take a guess? Patricia Steer.
So what does that mean? Who cares?
That was 2 days ago.
So he needs to, so in order for there not to be a conspiracy, he needs to remember to say every single person's name. He can't forget one.
That kind of had me scratching my head a bit. It's like, really? Because, you know, Will Duffy is part of the group, right? He's part of the upper echelon of what this is happening.
The upper echelon of what is happening? I shouldn't laugh, but it's like getting really bad. We're now in a community that just makes up shit to keep the flat earth alive. They will say anything. They'll say that we predicted the 24-hour sun because they use an apparent sun, place it where the globe says it should be, and then says, we predicted it. And you know what happens? Flat earthers say, yeah, we predicted it. All flat maps predicted it. That's embarrassing.
That makes me wonder. It's like, okay, I know he didn't forget because Jaron knew earlier in the week, which means Will Duffy knew.
You know he didn't forget? That's weird.
Which means all sorts of people knew. MC Toon knew. So why didn't Will?
How did MC Toon know? Where are you getting this shit from?
Bring her up. Why? Seems kind of odd. Now, you could go down the line and say, well, Patricia's the mastermind, and she, she told him not to say it on air.
Spiraling.
And, they wanted the soundbite from me because they wanted me to read her letter. I suppose you could go down that road.
Alex Jones, what do you say about everything that Mark's saying right now?
It's all fake.
Just making sure. Thank you.
You could say, well, they forgot. I doubt that, because he named all the small players, but deliberately omitted Patricia.
So what?
So why? What also means, by the way, that if that's the case, if it's Will Duffy's show, if he's the one, I know people are saying, oh, Will Duffy's the one. It's like, is he? Is he pulling the strings? Or
there is no strings here. There is no strings here, Mark. I'm tired of listening to this because it's just, you can listen to yourselves. It's one lie after another throughout the whole show. The entire thing. And it's upsetting to see Elizabeth have to sit here on her first show and not get a chance to speak while you tell lies. So now, I don't know what I have to do. Do I have to spend 2 hours with her telling her the truth? Because you aren't capable of doing that?
Was he instructed not to talk about Patricia? Why? Why not talk about her? Yeah, and I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. I think it's really unusual.
If you gave her the benefit of the doubt, you'd shut your fucking mouth.
That he would say she hasn't flipped, because publicly she hasn't flipped. Now, of course, he can say it because I can out her, even though I'm not gonna publish the letter. The letter, by the way, is out. There's all sorts of people that have the letter. You guys got the letter. I'm not gonna post it in chat. So why?
Why?
Chat room, tell me why didn't Will Duffy mention?
But why are you not gonna post it? I'm not gonna post it in chat. Why not? Why? She said, "Here's my reason for leaving. You can show it to the audience. I think it would be a good thing."
Patricia, and don't say that she's the evil overlord. I'm not buying it. Not buying it. It's been a long time with it. DJ, you got a thought? Theory?
I mean,
if I say a theory, you're just going to shoot me down.
I really don't know what to say in this situation. Patricia and I had a conversation just the other day, and she said I could talk about it. I'm just hoping that she is telling me the truth. I mean, she doesn't have to, but hoping that the truth comes out. And it just seems like when you paint the picture that there is some squirrely things going on that I wasn't fully aware of, and I'm trying to process right now.
No, because you were talking to Patricia, who's being honest. You've talked to me, and I've been honest with you. And now Mark is filling your head with straight up lies. That's why you're discombobulated. Nothing makes sense, is because Mark has to tell a story. I think that Dave Weiss is in his ear saying things that are not true, that Mark takes to be true because Dave Weiss says, I heard it from an insider person. And that's not the case. There is no insider person. It's just Dave hearing from somebody and then running with that this whole idea of like, oh, I can make up all these things now and I can pretend that there's some insider. But here's the thing. I noticed that it's the same verbiage going around. The same verbiage. Continue.
But does it change the fact that I think that the Earth is special? No. And does it change the fact that I think we're still missing ample proof? What do I say here? We don't have curvature, and we don't have the pictures from space, and there's a lot of other things such as gravity and the heliocentric model and all.
Okay, so again, curvature is very difficult to, I don't know what you want for measurement of curvature. You can find surveyors that will show you reciprocal zenith angles. Now, before, I thought that they were because the item dropped. Now that I see that the Earth is a sphere, I can easily change that to, oh, they are measuring reciprocal zenith angles. They're measuring curvature. It's not that hard to do. I showed you a rocket that is not seen for 1 minute and 5 seconds until it appears on my horizon. Where was the rocket for 1 minute and 5 seconds? Are we supposed to believe in vanished land? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, that it just sits there. Picture that. What that means is that as soon as the rocket takes off, it's literally sitting on the horizon line, just sitting there. Even though it's flying upwards, it doesn't move in real life. It just sits there till 1 minute and 5 seconds have gone by. Then it's like, okay, now I'll show myself. People tried to tell me, oh, it's angular size. No, it's not, because it's going up. It's actually going up and away from me. So it's not changing its angular size. If anything, it's getting smaller, not bigger. So this becomes painful. I don't want to hear this for the second time of you just lying about every single thing. And everybody who listens to you, I mean, if you read the chat, everyone's just in there, oh, I knew Jaron was a problem and he's a pervert. And just everything that's being said is just disgusting. People calling Patricia a man. I mean, it's just, can we say one man down? They think it's funny. It's just stupid garbage from people who have nothing better to do but get their jollies off making fun of others. These are losers sitting in their grandmother's basement watching Mark's show while he lies to them.
All those things that have to come into play for the globe to be viable.
Gotcha.
Therefore, I exist on the side of...
Okay, but there's many more things that need to come into play for the flat Earth to be possible, and they're all impossible. You're not going to make a map that says the sun goes right to left in the south, but still circles the Earth in a clockwise formation. What? This is how we know that the flat Earth is not ever going to happen. I can say that with complete... I was going to say satisfaction, which is probably true, but I can say that with complete confidence that the Earth will never be flat. Get over it. Drop it, move on. It's embarrassing, and I know I was part of it. And I know that not everybody went down with me, but I've also, from that trip, come up with other things where I'm like, oh my God, I never noticed this. I didn't see this. The circumpolar stars in the south disprove the flat Earth. The South Celestial Pole disproves the flat Earth. The South Pole disproves the flat Earth. The right to left setting sun in the south disproves the flat Earth. Now you've got a bunch of people out there that just can't hear that, and they will make fun of me and say, well, Jaron thinks that you proved the flat Earth wrong. Yeah, right. I'm not saying I did. I'm saying observations do. You don't need me. But you sit in your house all day. You're not going outside and looking at the sun. You'll never figure it out because people like Mark Sargent will lie to you and tell you everything works great on flat Earth. Just so you know. Mark Sargent is something because of flat Earth. So if flat Earth becomes nothing, which it is, what does that make Mark Sargent?
Created realm. I'm in the middle of my walk with the Lord. I'm trying to understand what he wants from me for my life. I'm not perfect. And it just breaks my heart, you guys. I'm literally feeling like, how could anyone turn their back on the truth?
Oh, okay.
Please, Beth, do you have any younger person's theory? I know you're taking college courses right now, so what is it?
Well,
Let's just
start
skip
with the
forward.
carrot.
in Pennsylvania, yeah, I've seen snow and stuff. It wasn't necessarily as far as document model. You don't have a model. Okay.
You can't say NASA sucks literally for 10 years.
Oh, that's a
But
good
not
part to listen.
because people decided to change their mind, but because I just don't think that what is going on in the sky, like we've said, predicts the floor. I mean,
right, that's what you've said, even though it's not allowed in any walk of life. You're not allowed to dictate what is evidence and what isn't. If evidence is when something leads you to a possible conclusion. You don't get to bar evidence because it proves the opposite. That's why you're barring the evidence, because the evidence proves the Earth is a sphere. So as flat earthers, you're like, we better not accept that evidence.
And to me, light can be in two places at one time pretty freaking easily.
Sure, light's in lots of places at one time, but the sun isn't.
I mean, I've been walking my dog on my street every day, a couple times a day, and I'm noticing when the sun's overhead, it's reflecting off of all the car windshields. It's reflecting off.
Yeah, the car windshield. So is there windshields in the sky? We flew down there in a 757 airplane and landed on the ice. Wouldn't we have hit a windshield?
All the windows, and it looks like if you look,
there's no windows in the sky either.
Quite up close to it, looks like the sun is right there. So
right, because you're seeing a reflection off of glass. We were down there. We watched the sun circle us. It never reflected off any glass. It's the same sun. We looked at the sunspots. It's over. Cash it in.
Why is it so hard, do you think, Mark, for the flat Earth community to wrap, not everyone, but people out there that are not happy with the results of TFE? Why do you think that it's so hard for them to fathom that the sun could be in two places at one time?
Let me ask George Carlin if he knows anything.
I can prove it with my usual flawless logic.
Oh, okay.
Refraction.
I'm stealing that word, reflection. That's a great word.
That's where I'm at.
I'm grabbing that. That's a t-shirt. That's awesome. Okay, it's something I've said on different occasions, which is,
please tell us.
Unfortunately, the general public is visual only. They don't like math. They don't like calculations. They don't like anything that one of the reasons why it gained as much traction as it did is because the term was so simple and everybody knew it. You know what I mean? You know, the flat Earth, 2 syllables, they get it. You know, oh yeah, flat Earth in times because it's one of the most popular virtual reality movies. Which is, I come from the video game world. I played video games. I produced video games.
Oh, that's good.
I lived and breathed video games and everything that they wanted to do. And I was there when they first put the sun in the sky. When it came to gaming, and it's like, okay, what do we do with this? And it's like, well, the sun's just going to follow whoever. It's like, what if there's more than one person? It's just going to follow everybody individually, and they're not going to know any different. The thing that Austin has said, which is, you know, the sun is unique. I don't know. There's different sayings. I don't know if Lisbeth, if you guys got a different word for it, different perspective on the sun,
so that's what he makes up here.
Parallax rays look the same for everybody, no matter where you are, on the ground.
Huh?
It's like, oh yeah, the parallax is right there. No, I'm 20 miles away, and the parallax is right there, and you could point to it, and you point to different spots.
That's just bullshit.
David Weiss did that thing with the shadows in the sheet.
It doesn't put the sun. What you guys have to figure out is why the sun is above Australia at noon for them, and it's seen 30,000 miles away in the south of Antarctica. That means that that's not, oh, I'm seeing a reflection of the sun in a window. We've duplicated the sun and moved it to where the globe says it should be and called it our observation. It's gross. It's just gross. Continue.
Short answer, DJ. It's just tough for people to get it. You know, most people aren't three-dimensional thinking, and you know what? I'll use a biblical thing, which is, you've said many times, we're not going to fully understand this. This world was.
Then if we're not going to understand it, then stop promoting a flat Earth. Because what you're doing then, if nobody's ever going to understand the Earth, is you're causing problems for children as they grow up in the education system. And I'm not saying that's a smart idea, but most people have to do that. They can't afford home care or homeschool. So by teaching children something that will never be proven according to you, that's not a very smart thing to do. Those children are going to believe in something. They're going to get to school. They're going to say something to their friends. They're going to be made fun of, probably popped in the face or something. Who knows? It would be better if you just said, here's what science has shown to be the case. Your mom and dad and we believe that the Earth is flat, but we believe it for religious reasons because we understand that it cannot be scientifically shown or be shown to be tenable at all. At all. So that's the problem.
Meant to not necessarily deceive us, but to keep us guessing. You know, it's a mystery that never ends. And
then stop teaching that the Earth is flat if it's a mystery that never ends.
I'll use the motion thing. There's a human weakness that we all have, and I think I've said this to you before. You can look it up. I can't remember the name of the study. It's university studies on this though, where you all know we've all been victim of this, where you're sitting in a train or a plane or a car.
Come on.
Break, what the hell, right? They've done studies where they put people in these scenarios like wooden cars, and they either move the
come on.
It's our weakness. We can only, we see in really one spectrum, and everything else is all jumbled up. So multiple light sources, yeah. Why the hell wouldn't you?
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Look, to me,
I think we should add eight suns, because then the Earth is probably like a like a pizza box shape, and it's just that you use the eighth sun covers everything. And why would we be against that? I mean, we don't need evidence of that. Just I think it works better with 8 suns, personally.
Just more, like
Suns.
you said, the wonder of this place is going to continue to surprise us, in my opinion. And that means that
The wonder of this place can surprise you as a believer in a globe.
one light source moving around up in the sky, if it is reflecting or refracting, or reflecting is the new word the chat liked. If it's reflection, the sun can be in multiple places at one time, and that to me is more likely than all of a sudden we're back in a spinning space ball.
Okay, let me just explain something that So, one of the proofs against the globe that Flat Earth loved to tout was they said, oh, there's a impossible eclipse where the sun is above the horizon and so is the moon. And the globe comes along and says, yes, we need 0.6 degrees of refraction on both sides, a total of 1.2 degrees of refraction to make that work. And Flat Earthers laughed hysterically at them and said, what? We're not giving you, you're not going to lift the sun and moon up and move them above the horizon. We're not giving you that. So fast forward a couple years, all of a sudden now we're okay with the moving of the sun 180 degrees, just a small 178.4 or something, or 0.6, more than the globe was asking for, but it's no problem for us. We predicted it. So 180 degrees, just move it over there. Just move it 30,000 miles away. The globe is asking to move it up 0.6 degrees. That's about the size of the sun. They're asking, move it up. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing things lifted. And so if you think that's a problem with the globe, then we have to be applying it equally, meaning that then 1.2 degrees of refraction for the flat Earth should be frowned upon. But you're just willing to give them 180 degrees? Well, you can make any map work if you get 180 degrees refraction.
The empty, ever-expanding universe where they need so many things to work for that model. So that's the shocking part to me. That's probably why I've just been completely just not able to speak. How do you go from all of these flat Earth proofs to
okay, there shouldn't be such thing as proofs. If you're talking about literal proof, even though some people might say that, I say that on occasion, but I don't mean proof. There should never be proof. I don't think that the globe Earth has been proven. I think that the globe Earth is the best explanation for the observations. Usually, after a long period of time, when you've weighed these all out, whatever that theory is that best matches observations tends to be correct. So you can clearly say that the flat Earth is it's not even in the same city as the globe Earth. It may have snuck in the city a little bit and it was starting to hang around and look around. But once we saw that it doesn't prove that we saw that the South isn't a lie, then it was kicked out of the city, removed. It's not even anywhere near the city. It's probably not in the same state.
Default back to a globe.
Oh,
it's not default back to a globe. It's which one better matches observations. Every single sunrise, sunset, for every single location on Earth, for every single day of the year, for every single year of the millennium, is predicted and expected on a globe, or it's what it calls for. So it's not just, let's default back to the globe. It's which one better matches observations.
You want me to be nice about it, or you just want me to say it?
I think everyone wants to know.
Okay, fine.
I exist in we don't know exactly how it works, but we know what it's not. So
why would we say that? See the problem with flat earthers? You cannot say that. You cannot say, I don't know what it is, but I know what it's not. But how do you know it's not a globe if we just said all observations match that?
My mind's out.
How do you flip all of a sudden?
Yeah.
I'll tell you. You take the pieces of silver, like Judas.
Oh boy. So now I took the pieces of silver. I wonder if Dave told him that.
Cheap, lying, no good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, dickless, hopeless, heartless, fat-ass, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey shit.
Thank you. Clock goes all over.
And you say whatever they tell you to say.
Nobody has told me to say a thing. Not a thing. Nobody's ever made in fact, the only person that's ever told me what I can or can't say is Dave Weiss. Since there's anybody telling me things I can't say, is Dave.
That's all it really is. You can't flip back. The conditioning, come on.
You can't flip back. What if you saw that what you believed isn't the case? Right? You can't flip back?
Are cult deconditioning facilities that take a month or more to snap you out of anything. Whatever.
Wait. I don't think I heard this live. Did he just say cult reformation facilities? Let me go back and see. He didn't say that, right?
No, what it's not. So
How
that's
do you-
where my mind's at.
How do you flip all of a sudden? Well, I'll tell you. You take
Tell me
the
to
pieces
do
of silver, like Judas, and you say whatever they tell you to say. That's all it really is. You can't flip back. The conditioning. Come on, there are cult deconditioning facilities
He's now talking about cult deconditioning facilities.
that take a month or more to snap you out of anything, whatever it is, whatever's conditioning. And we did it, the space stuff especially. You cannot, for me, it would take less than Jaren, because I didn't hammer on NASA as hard as Jaren did. You can't say NASA sucks literally for 10 years
NASA sucks. Period.
and then be like, oh, SpaceX, that seems totally legit.
I
Without
didn't say
having
that the rocket launch is legit, Mark. The rocket is launching in real life. I don't even care if it goes to space. I don't even care about that. I'm talking about the height of the rocket when I see it from my horizon. NASA sucks. They're inept. It's a bad organization. They flip-flop their leaders in there. Every president change, nobody ever gets anything done. They're highly overspent. They never are on time. They actually charge us more money for the products that they develop with our money because we pay for the scientists. The scientists invent something, they get a patent, and then NASA sells the patent to the highest bidding company, and then that company makes a product and we pay more for it. NASA sucks. They've gone nowhere since 1958. They've been run terribly. I should be in charge of NASA. Step one, we put a 24-hour video camera of the Earth in, I don't know, the Lagrange point between the moon and the Earth. Okay, they don't take care that we would get a 24-hour live stream from the ISS. We don't even have that. Oh, sorry, we disconnected because we're on the dark side of Earth. That's what NASA says on their live stream. As if there's not satellites, as if you can't beam something down to the ground and do an undersea cable to the United States. Why would it be that we shut off the camera for 90 minutes? So NASA does suck.
a snit without having basically a stroke. You can't do it overnight. So
It didn't happen overnight. What do you mean overnight? You don't think I thought about the implications of the trip I was going on for the entire time for 6 months? You don't think Austin and I had late nights where we sat and talked about it? You think I just played games and then, woke up on the 14th. I'm in Antarctica. I better start thinking about this.
Oh, sorry, but and sorry, I don't want to. Let me spin this into something fun. I'm not saying, you know what? I just came up with an idea. You guys want to have some fun? Yeah, let's do this. This is for Will
Here we
Duffy.
go.
Since Will Duffy, I suspect that you're offering cash for burning down your channels, for sinking your.
You think, where is your evidence of this? And Will, if you're giving people cash for, can you please reach out to me? The hell are you doing?
Your own ship. Anyone? I want to know what the going.
He probably is thinking like, I bought that guy a trip. He's not getting any of the cash that I'm giving everybody else. It's a joke, people. It's a joke. He doesn't have any cash. He's Satan. Satan doesn't have cash.
Rate is. I want somebody to see if they can find out for it behind the scenes. Somebody, contact Will Duffy, contact MC Toon, and say, hey, I've got a channel with 5,000 subs, with 10,000 subs at Flat Earth. What's it going to take? What do I get if I burn it down?
Do you really think that is that a real thing that you're saying?
I want to know. Somebody find out. See if you can get that far without signing the NDA, and let me know.
Wow.
I'd love to do that. Sorry, DJ, that's my honest answer to your question. You can't do it. That's why our track record, which I said for a decade was so unbelievably perfect, which was just like, we still have 99%.
Alex Stein, do you have anything to say about this?
Wow.
Just making sure.
Retention rate. But our retention rate was absolutely amazing. Because how can you? And in fact, the documentary Behind the Curve, which I know lots of people hate, but hey, it's out there. It's in the syllabus for a lot of people now. And the high school I'm dealing with, they show it every year to their classrooms.
There's a reason for that.
I think they're in Chicago. The point is that even they said the reason why Flat Earth does as well as it does is because we don't, and you've heard me say this, we don't force it down your throats. We don't persuade you. We don't convince you. We just put the idea in your head, and we've all done it, and it just rattles around there like a.
Well, that's because I do think this is the case. I do think that the globe is so counterintuitive that they have to indoctrinate. And I'm not saying I agree with it, but I think they have to indoctrinate people with it because some people aren't very sharp. And if you're not indoctrinated with it, then it just doesn't make sense for half the population. That maybe they'll never get it. They can never fathom size. They can't understand that size matters. And it just becomes a problem. So I think they indoctrinate children. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's a good idea at all. But what are you going to do? All right, let's continue. And I thought I had something over here. Where'd it go? No idea. Let's go. I'm almost done. Is there anything else important that you talk about? Oh, he does. Oh, no, that's me saying it is.
Let's put it that way. Right? You're never going to see me. You will never see me flip ever. Now,
I mean, that is the most. You are not allowed in any scientific endeavor. You cannot say, I will never flip ever. Then what are you doing? MC Toon said if the sun sets, he would flip to a flat earther. Duffy said that. That's what being a man is saying, here's what I think, and if not, then I'll change my beliefs. You just said, doesn't matter. So you're going to go in here and you're going to throw people under the bus. You're going to throw me under the bus. You're going to, and because you can't imagine why we would flip, but you've just admitted that you never would. So you don't even have the thought of what if I saw something that tells me I'm wrong? Mark, check out, bro. Check out. You've done this too long or something. I don't know. It's just crazy that you would say that.
This is an important message from the CDC.
What
you
is
have
going
been
on?
recognized as someone who...
All right, I don't know what that was. Sorry, so that's good voices.
Something may happen to me. My plane might fall out of the sky, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, it's I take that over a flip. Let's put it that way. Right? You know, you're never going to see me because there's no leverage. You know, I never got married, never had kids. People say, well, why weren't you?
No, you're missing the point. We didn't flip because there was leverage. We didn't flip because they came at my child and my wife. I flipped because of evidence.
Approach. Like, what are you going to approach me with?
Evidence.
What are you going to do?
Evidence.
I never got myself into a position where you could do anything to
There's
me.
not a position. I'm not in any position that they can do anything to me. I did what you're supposed to do. Observe evidence, weigh the options, choose the one that best matches the evidence. Not just sit in your chair and say, I'm not doing anything. I'll never change ever.
I mean, all my mistakes were done, like you said, DJ. Nobody's perfect. Yes, lots of people.
There's no mistakes being done. Who have you been talking to? Dave Weiss? Are you in the Dave Weiss world that everybody who has something bad on their record and the government approaches them, makes them a deal that they don't go to jail? Like Duffy, he was supposed to go to jail, but then the government went to him and said, you're going to pretend to be a pastor and you're going to fake the earth and we'll tell you all the facts and all the details and then you're going to do it and we'll let you out of jail. Is that what you actually think, Mark?
People know my fireworks story, which is why
Nobody
if you
cares
can
about
look
fireworks.
It up. It's a journey. Oh,
Yeah,
my
that's why
Lord.
you can't vote. That's why you can't vote, right? We didn't
I
get to
cannot
explain
vote. I cannot be on jury duty. I'm not supposed to own guns and all that stuff. And at the same time, in fact, honestly, I shouldn't even have a passport. It's been renewed now. I'm on my third one. So whatever, you know, yes, everyone makes mistakes, but in my case, I wanted to get that away. I did not want.
What does stop the
how
cap
open I
mean?
was about my life, which was I didn't want somebody 4 years into the road. It's like,
Can you be that deluded? What's the guy's name? I just saw him. Somebody said, stop the lie or something. What was that? Cannon. Stop the cap turn. So you think what I'm doing here is lying? I've just shown you all the evidence you need to know where you live. I've shown you that these guys are lying to you to keep you in the cult. I've shown you that Mark Sargent says he will never flip no matter the evidence that's shown. He's making up lies about former flat earthers that were his friends. He's saying dangerous lies. When you tell people that somebody's taken the money, don't be surprised when they get jumped, when they get hit, because some crazy person thinks that that's true. What is wrong with you? You call it truth, but wouldn't know truth if we hit him in the face. Oh, boy. What's this guy's name? Cannon? Nice name. Cannon. I wish you would wake up. Hey, Nick Havoc in the house. Nick, enjoyed your videos. Every time I see one come on, I watch it. And that's a very short list. There's not a lot of people that I enjoy listening to. But I think that we have a lot of the same thoughts, and I do apologize. I know you said you weren't mad at me, but I do apologize, obviously, as a content creator, to find out that you've been wrong. But the one thing I can say is I never lied. What Mark is doing on this show, he's lied more times in the last 4 minutes than I lied in 10 years. He's just lying about people that were his friends. I don't know how you can just be like, oh, that's fine, because he's a flat earther. See, flat earthers will allow anything from flat earthers, but they will not even look at evidence from a globe earther. That's a problem.
like, oh, are you a criminal? Yeah, and then you have to dance around that a bit. It's like, no, Strangeworld #1. Hey, I'm a criminal.
What?
But not the bad kind. I can go to playgrounds and stuff.
Well, I guess I don't know how much time we got, but I just want to
no more time.
Where my mind is at, just to kind of come full, I believe is the truth, and to turn from it.
Yes, but we all believed it was the truth. Nobody, not Patricia, not Robbie, not me, none of us didn't think it was the truth. The reason I pushed Flat Earth is because I thought it was the truth. So everything I looked at it with the idea in my head that the Flat Earth was the truth. And so, yeah, was there things that I should have seen as big red flags? Yeah, but when you're looking at it, you're like, well, the Flat Earth is true. So, we'll try and fit this in. But I knew that there was things that would completely and totally debunk or falsify. And those would have to be done in the South, because the North And here's the sad thing about it. The North works almost identical on the flat Earth and the globe. So you're not going to find problems in the North because the North is just, on the AE map, is just a squished globe. Where the problems became, and we all knew this, was can we determine whether the Tropic of Capricorn is twice as long as the Tropic of Cancer? How would we do that? What would we need to be with a plane? How do we figure out whether the Earth turns left or right? And it just, I never was smart enough to just contemplate like, oh, the sun in the south. If the sun sets right to left, then the Earth cannot be flat. Now again, I was able to take a paperweight and hold it up against a light and make it displace, at which point I said, okay, when Jake told me that, I said, yeah, but if there's a dome, then we could see the sun set right to left. But what you cannot see would be the sun going around you in Antarctica. Oh, wait, I might have gotten a message that's important now. Let me see. Let me know, Robbie or Patricia, if you guys are watching. If you text me, let me know if I'm forgetting any part of the lies, because I'm ready to kind of wrap it up. I mean, it's just obvious that this is not how you treat people. We've all been on the same team, and I even was telling people that I was planning to do one more Friday Unplugged, and then I was going to kind of move off of that and get over to my radio station, do some radio shows. A couple people wanted to do debates I would probably do back on the channel, but I was going to lay off because I don't want to be the enemy that people now they're like, well, not Jaren's trying to destroy Flat Earth, and they kind of get away from looking at it objectively because I'm here. So my plan was to disappear from at least this conversation. But now, after today and last night, I've realized now you've made me want to fight the Flat Earth. You're not going to lie about people that were Flat Earthers just to keep people trapped in a cult. A cult is literally a place that will not allow you to have a difference of opinion or belief. And that's just not right, especially in a scientific endeavor. There is no cults, okay? There is only what better matches the observations. And again, the one thing that I think is hilarious is when people come at me and they're like, oh, so you believe in dark matter? You believe in dark energy? Those are the furthest from my mind. I don't give a shit. You shouldn't give a shit. It's not going to be solved in your lifetime. It's not going to matter ever in your lifetime. It's not going to matter in your kids' lifetimes. Let those people that went to college for 8 years or whatever they go, 4 years, let them play around with their theoretics. It doesn't affect me. I don't care what dark matter is. I don't care what dark energy is. I think it means that they're wrong about what they think is going on deep in the universe. But okay. Am I going to go figure it out? Do I get access to telescopes that see 97 trillion miles? I don't think so. I don't think that happens. What do you have left? Come on, let's finish.
I'm going to pray for those people that are in their journey. I talked to Joe Hanby today, and that was really uplifting. So shout out to Joe, because I do think that his model is closer to what makes sense to me in my mind about where we live and how this place works and what's possible. Again, it's easier for light to be in two places at one time than it is for an ever-expanding space vacuum. And it's more in line with the scripture.
Okay, but you just said an ever-expanding space vacuum. So the ever-expanding part is just a theory. It's not... I've already said this, that they've got a model Edwin Hubble came up with where he said, okay, well, we're either the center of the universe or everything's moving away, but the expansion, they didn't know what it is, so they had to make dark energy because something has to be expanding it, and they have to make dark matter because they're missing matter. So all that tells us is that they're not at a place that we should be championing. Is that a word? Championing. We shouldn't be championing. I can't say that word. Wow. Championing. We shouldn't be promoting those kind of, I mean, that's not our realm. I don't belong in a conversation about dark matter, dark energy, or the expanding universe. So I don't need to say it like that. I don't need to add ever expanding universe in there. It's just not important. It's like, wouldn't the flat earth have to have some sort of thing like that? So even if the earth became flat, then people would say, well, what's going on with the sky? Why does it look like things are moving away from us? Well, it's moving in an ever expanding universe. So that's just the cutting edge of science. To stop worrying about that. That has nothing to, what I worry about is the ground flat or is it a sphere? You can do observations yourself without my help, without anybody's help. And if you need that, you can reach out on my shop.jeranism.com, pay for a consultation, and I'll walk you through it. I will tell you exactly what to do with the sun, with your camera, with your family, and you will walk away from that endeavor and you'll say, okay, the Earth's a sphere. Do I know if it's spinning? Do I know if the sun's a certain distance away? How big are the planets? All that stuff. Don't worry about that. It's not important. Just stop saying the Earth is something that it's not.
Sure. So I think what holds people back from biblical cosmology, where I see this headed, is the fact that they feel some sort of, they don't feel they feel guilt, or they feel like they have to change something about them, and they feel not worthy or whatever. Guys, I've been there too. Still there. However, through belief, focus on what gives you this faith and this hope.
You guys got a thing that says Mark is the man with the master plan. That's a little bit scary. It's got a theme song too, and it goes like this. Earth is flat every day, and I'm not changing my mind no matter what. I'm Mark Sargent.
Because that, I think, is going to carry people forward. But it's like, I don't know what else to say. It's just seeking truth and sticking with it and not wavering is so what I think would be my advice, but everyone take their own.
Yeah, well said. Somebody reminded me of the vacuum test, the vacuum challenge that I put out there for several years, which All
right, we're done with that. So let's see. I'm going to check if I've got any text. I don't. Okay. And then they end the show and they play their normal theme song, So that's... Thank you, guys. All right, so let's move on to Super Chats, see what's going on over there, and we will round it out and call it a day. Dan the Waterman says, I can go to the meetup and a meeting in the same day. Oh, my God, this same thing. All right, let's look at here. I did see a couple come through. Fan funding. So what do we have coming up this week? We've got, it'll be next Thursday is Speaker's Corner. So if you have something you want to say to me, plan that now. It'll be 3 p.m. on the following. It's always the first Thursday of every month. So it'll be next Thursday. Friday, we got the Jeranism show at 3. And then I'll be wrapping that up around 6. And then heading over to film the 7 o'clock launch. I probably won't go live from the launch. I just haven't had any good... I don't really know what the point of that would be. It's better for me to go film it, come home, upload it, and go live and show as we connect them, as we do the syncing and see what we get. But I want to mention that. So people are saying like, oh, you're using affirming the consequent. You're saying if we see rocket at this height, then it means globe. I see rocket at this height, globe. That's not what I did. I said, oh, the rocket's launching. Let's go film it. So I drove to the location, set up the cameras. We start recording. We see the rocket in the sky. We record the whole thing. Great. We bring it home. We upload it. We sync the two so that my footage is synced then with the launch on the internet. Because remember, you won't see that when you're there. There's a delay. Once you sync them, then you can see the height of the rocket when you first see it. For me, it was at 25,000 feet, and it was 1 minute and 5 seconds. You go and you look up the globe math, and it says, oh, the curvature at that distance and this is 25,000 feet. And you're like, oh, and what does the flat earth say? You go, look, there's a 3,000-foot mountain between you. You do the math. It comes out to 5,000 feet, meaning you should have seen the rocket at 5,000 feet, which I forgot what that was, 14 seconds or something. So we press play. 14 seconds comes and goes. We don't see the rocket all the way till 1 minute and 5. You look up the height at 1 minute 5, and it's like 25,000 feet. So that is how you do science. That is just going and making an observation, and then we say which claim better matches the evidence. Does the flat earth claim that says I'll see the rocket at 5,000 feet better match the observation, or the one that says you won't see the rocket till 25,000 feet because it's coming from behind the curve? Well, one of those works out. And then for all these, it's clouds. And what if there's no clouds on that day, Dave? Will I see it when it takes off? Or does there always clouds at that distance and it's Canada sitting on? I don't even understand how you got to that point. How you just decided that would happen. Anyway, Mark Sargent.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Do it again. Mark, don't do it again. Do not tell lies about people, especially if Dave Weiss is coming to you and pretending like he's got some insider track. He doesn't have an insider track. Somebody that I told, hey, these two people might be turning, went and told him. That's not an insider track. It's just somebody saying things that, again, it's the truth, so I don't care. I'm not going to, I didn't say you're not allowed to tell anybody this. I just said, hey, there's a chance that these two people might be flipping soon. I've talked to them, and they both think that it's a time and place for them to do so. But at no time did I encourage them. Did I push them? Nothing. When people ask me questions, I'll answer questions. That's what it comes down to. So flat earthers, grow some fucking cojones. Grow them. And then stand up for yourself and say, I'm not letting Mark lie to me anymore. I'm not going to let him pretend that people are being paid off when they're not. I'm not going to let him say things with zero evidence as if they're, and he says guaranteed fact. I mean, it's like RB truth. Oh, we know Dave Weiss is a Freemason, 100% guaranteed. No, he's not. You are wrong again. Stop being wrong so much. Please. All right, let's check. We got this is more than I thought. Sweet. Let's read through these. Thank you very much to the Upside Down guy. What is Scoon Drool? Should I know what that means? I don't know. I really don't know. Let's go to this one. Hold on, get the right screen up. Okay, that'll have to work for now. I don't know. There it is. Scoon Drool. Gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. We've got Ken P. Gifted 1 membership. Thank you very much, Ken P. Appreciate that. We've got Ken P. Another 1 membership. Thank you very much. We've got Litton 25, $20. Thank you very much. Nothing to say though. Come on, $20. You got to say something. Dan the Waterman in the house. He says just because the truth may hurt does not mean that we should avoid it. Enough is enough. I agree, Dan. And Dan's been here for the long time as well. I've been at many Salton Sea experiments with him. Was down in Hollywood Boulevard with him, and we very much believed that the Earth was flat. But when you've been shown, and Dan was one of the first ones that really spoke out about the flyers that were being handed out that said that planes have to nose down some certain crazy amount in every 500 miles or something. And we all thought it was great. Well, the plane has to let's go down 5 miles. And this. Well, that's not the case. Just like I told you that the Earth is flat and level everywhere. 660 feet only has an 1/8 inch of curve. So a plane is just constantly adjusting its altitude based on where it is on the Earth. There's no nosing down. If you nose down, you lose altitude. So, but Dan was one of the very first person that brought that to the attention of me, to Dave Weiss, to Bob Nodell, and a lot of people shut him down. A lot of people told him, well, no, it's just a way to word it. It's just, we're just wording it differently. And he's like, no, but it's false because a plane doesn't have to nose down. It's nosing down constantly. And that's really what turned me on to the idea of, the 8 inches per mile squared is the same thing, right? You're assuming that we're measuring a distance of a mile. What if we're only measuring 660 feet? Well, that's 1/8 of an inch. So same kind of idea. It can be constant change. Here's the way you look at it. The Earth curves at such a rate, and it's so big that we just don't ever notice the tiny curve. But the Earth is so big, that tiny curve constantly comes back around to where it started. Jaron did not flip. Flat Earth did. I believed in the flat Earth until it was no longer believable. And I think that should be, people should go, oh, thank God Jaron went. Now I understand why Jaron flipped. And yeah, I'm going to kind of agree with him because he wouldn't do this for 10 years and then flip on a whim. He must know that he was wrong enough that he can now say with definity that, is that a word? Definity? That's a great word. You think it is? Hey Siri, is definity a word? Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. No, not Xfinity. She doesn't even speak English. Okay, quiet down. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's look here. You're welcome. Nope, that's how we read that one. Shame on you, Mark. Now you got to live with yourself. That's so bad. It's just bad. All right, we've got Weeaboo Metalhead. Nice. Yes, Flat Earth is a cult, and I'm drunk. Look at how ex-Flat Earthers are treated by other flurfs and all these new subs and memberships from us. Yeah, you guys are really been great. Let me just say something that's going to shock everybody. Everybody in the Globe community, it's not like you would expect. It's not like they're mad at you or they're like, no, you're just some loser, you're stupid. They're just very welcoming. They're very like, hey, if you ever need help with any math, if you need this, they've just been very nice. There's not been one person, Wolfie, people like that I've said rude things to Wolfie. Like I've said things about him. You have to humble yourself when you're wrong and just be like, oh, I hope he doesn't hate me. He reaches out and is like, no, man, good for you for figuring it out. These guys could literally shit on us if they wanted. Imagine if Globers started coming to Flat Earth side, probably Flat Earthers would just give them a hard time to the point where they'd leave. Like it's such a different dynamic. And I'm not saying that all Globers are great people or anything like that. No, some of them can be jerks. But I am saying that it's nice at least to leave the community and then have people over there saying, hey, nice to have you on the Globe. If you ever need anything, let me know. They don't have to do that. And it makes it a little bit easier since it would be real hard if it's just people like Conspiracy Music Guru, a friend for 9 years, is okay with sharing the most disgusting song I've ever heard about my family. And when I approached him about it, he pulled the Dave Weiss. Do you think he apologized? He said, what? I'm a comedian, man. I thought it was funny. Yeah, it's about my wife and my dead mom and my son, and he hopes I die soon, and I stick rockets up my asshole. It's not funny. It's disgusting. And any friend would never share that to a group. Why would you want to give that more views? It's disgusting. Fridays, Dirtball of the Week. Oh, man, I didn't have time to get there. Dirtball of the Week. You're the best. I don't know where it is. Way to go. Enrique, you're so slow at this. Just slow as could be. Where did You're the Best go? I know we've got the actual theme song, but I don't know where I'm at. Anyway, way to go. Enrique's fired. All right, let's go. Next one. We've got... Thank you very much for that, by the way. He a member for 1 month. We've got Dan the Waterman again. Plenty of room here under the bus. That's why I said it's not that. It actually, the bus doesn't hurt that much. It's just, it's a little heavy. It's not that bad, though. We've got no point having a mind if we can't change it. Very well said, JD. Very well said. And that's all I expect from people, is that when the evidence gets raised to the point where you no longer can hold your position, just change your position. Nobody's going to give you a hard time for that. Nobody's going to be, well, what a liar I am. The Flat Earth will give you a hard time for that. Nobody will give you a hard time if you just change your mind when the evidence comes. What's wrong with me? That's so fucking stupid. What am I talking about? Just making shit up. Like, nobody ever gives you a hard time. They just accept it. Nope, not these people. Mark fucked up. Jaren's right. I'm deeply saddened by the endless internal shit Mark has held onto and refused to discuss publicly over the years. It's not the coolest position to take. I just don't understand it. Patricia's been nothing but great to him, helped him with his show. And so to just immediately jump because she switches, rather than go talk to her, he didn't even answer her letter. She wrote him an email and he didn't even respond. Because it's like, you're dead to me. If you believe that, you're dead. Southern boat races had you pretty convinced before, yeah. So they're really going incredibly slow down there. Yeah, we'd have to look at it again. Didn't the Vendée Globe did it end? But I'm going to write a note because that's something we need to look at. No, here's the thing. All those things can be reevaluated. But the fact of whether the Earth is shaped like a sphere or like a flat Earth, the flat Earth is untenable. So it's not. And I know this is a bad example, but I try to tell people because they're like, "What do you do? Just throw away all the evidence of the flat Earth?" Like, look if you are looking for a murderer, and you go to a house where the murder happened, and there's 3 pairs of shoes there, all those 3 pairs of shoes are evidence. And if you look at them and they're all different size, and you're like, "Hey, we put these in the evidence bag," and then you find some guy, he's on the street corner, he's got a bloody hand, and he's got no shoes, and you find out that those are the shoes that he wore. Well, the other 2 pairs of shoes get discarded. Were they evidence? They were evidence, but we found the culprit. So it's no longer involved in the final answer. So just because we have evidence that the Earth is flat, if the final answer is that the Earth's a sphere, then it's not like you're just going to ignore all that. Yeah, the evidence is no longer part of the answer. So do we see too far? Yes. You're just going to give that away? Well, yeah, because the Earth is a sphere, and the Austin Thompson showed that you can see further than you think with just a piece of lens in front of you. The atmosphere does work like a lens. So that means we can see further than we're supposed to. I do think some of these things could have been better explained by Globers, but again, it's not my job to critique the way they went about it, and I'm not even sure that it would have changed my mind. But some of the things that I think could have been said differently is just like that one right there, right? It could have been worded differently so that it wasn't like, rather than say we see too far and then go, oh, it's refraction and the index and just say like, well, the atmosphere works as a lens, and you can see further when there's a lens. It's magnifying things behind it. And if you have constant lenses, which is the atmosphere is, right? You couldn't take one spot and say this is the lens. The atmosphere is the lens. So there's constant lensing, meaning you're going to see further every spot. You're going to be seeing further than you should. So it's not the end of the world. It's okay. We've got Dan the Waterman. Did you read that one? Yes, you did that one. Yes, you did that one. You did that one. Scoundrel back or no? I saw you there again. Wait, did I mess up? Okay, we're there. I got you. Scoundrel says, no. To begin a flat Earth debate, do you believe in cartography? Yes. It's a weird question. Why stole the flat Earth people finder from Zoom Truth? That is the claim. I'm not necessarily sure that's the case, but I've heard that before. We've got Storm Chaser Patrick Panada says, Dave knows exactly what shape the Earth is. I don't think he's a good faith actor. You are giving him too much credit. Let me explain why I don't know if that's the case. Is because I wasn't lying when I said things as a flat earther. So I don't want to jump to that conclusion. There is a mental block that can impair your ability to rationally look at evidence. And once it's removed, and I've heard this from Ranty Flat Earth, heard it from Melodome, heard it from obviously myself. I think even Rob has said it, that Robbie, that once that block kind of gets chipped away a little bit, and you let a little in, like you just let it kind of go in there and go, maybe. See, yeah, maybe. All of a sudden, things are different. all of a sudden you start to see where things tie together and where the globe Earth is just what explains the observations. And I think one of the problems is that globers make it sound like it's real, just matter of fact, like, oh, the globe, it's easy. You're an idiot for not believing it. But a more truthful thing would be like, we all think it's weird. Okay, we all think it's weird that we live on a sphere. That's weird. It's just weird, but it's truth. So get over it. Things can be weird. It's weird that we have bugs in our tummy. It's weird that we have electrical signals flying throughout our body. It's weird that we have parasites. Those things are weird, but they're reality. So sometimes we just get over it and we say, okay, once it's been shown to me to be the case, we get over it. I don't think anybody would claim that we don't have little living creatures inside of us. I swear I have 50 buttons on my screen, and I accidentally slipped and clicked one, and it clicked that sound that I couldn't find earlier. That is hilarious. What is the chances of that? Wow. Thank you, universe, for these, what do you call it? Synchronicity. Thank you, what's his name? Santos Bonacci, who is about as pleasant as a wet fart. All right, we've got, thank you very much, so by the way, to Storm Chaser. We've got Litton25 says, I don't think Dave was ever your friend. Maybe not. You were just a means to an end for an app promotion. Yeah, sadly, I don't know. You had an audience and something he could gain. Now, nothing to be gained. You might be right. You might be right. Yeah, especially when I get back and he never calls me. I have not talked to Dave since I've been back. We did text a little bit. You know what opened up the communication? It's kind of funny. Dave canceled his VIP membership. When you do that, it auto triggers an email that says, hey, this is Jaron. You know, I just wanted to know if there's something I could have done differently or whatever. Dave took that to be a real email and like responded to it. Like, and it was funny because then I get the response back. I'm like, what? I didn't email this guy. Come on. Oh man. Now he thinks I opened up the conversation. It wasn't even real. He just like answered it. And then I went back and said, dude, stop lying about me. Yeah. Cause he lives in his own world. He lives in it. He must believe his own lies. He actually said, when I said to him, and dude, it took you 7 days to even do anything about the app and you never said, I'm sorry. He responded, right when you told me the app needed help, I immediately got on it and I said, I'm sorry. I'm like, wow. Okay, guy. That sounds legit. We've got, what does that say? Ken P. Thank you very much. Another membership. Ken, you've been very kind. God, I hate this like Duffy yesterday. I hate this thing. Why does it scroll like that? And then I can never find where it was. Can I see that? No, man. We did the flat debate. We did that one. There's a membership part. Here we go. I always felt that TFE was created to dismantle the flat earth from the inside by revealing the true nature of many flat earthers. Clever, calculated, and effective. I respect you for your courage. I don't think that was the intent. It seems he was asked that yesterday and he didn't agree with that. He said, no, that it's, the intent was to see the 24-hour sun and have at least one person flip so that more people would see that it's possible and then fall away from it. So, but I do think that could be an outcome from that is that it actually, and you know what? You can ask Patricia Steer, you can ask Robbie, you can myself, many people, and there's people that are saying that they're going to be leaving the flat earth, that they don't want to be out there. They're still waiting. They're still holding on. But they've all said that one of the biggest things that's made them flip is the community. So it's not even the evidence. It's watching the community attack each other. I mean, because it really does expose the idea of flat earthers being good researchers, right? Like, I wish I could tell the story. Like, I wish I could say, oh, and you know what? We're such good researchers that we're the ones who proved that Stephen Hawking's experiment is fake. The sad thing is there's nothing we don't call fake. So even a broken clock is right twice a day. So we got one right. But it's not really, we can't stand up. We can't be like, our research is so spectacular that these assholes think because there's no footprints in the ice that it means that we didn't go or we were in a studio. Because, I mean, again, it's just because Nico says so. You know? I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like these people have never lived life if they think you can fly a 757 into a Amazon studio and they just put it in Antarctica for no reason. Like, why did we go to the Antarctica? Couldn't we have done the studio in, I don't know, San Jose? Would have been a lot quicker of a drive for me. We've got Mike, does that say Mike Collins? I was going to say. 10 years of thinking they lied about the South. They didn't. We were wrong. Science doesn't lie. And Flat Earth Dave has them Bitcoins used to charter a flight to the South Pole. I did reach out to Duffy and said, let's talk to ALE. I said, we don't need to do this, but I just said, let's talk to ALE and get a price for a private jet to leave Punta Arenas and go to Perth, which would just fly across the South Pole. The problem with it is, and we both kind of realized, it's like, that's going to be expensive, because if it was just that flight, maybe we could get the price at a point that people would pay for it, $1,500 or something. The problem with it is, though, you need to get down to Punta Arenas, then you need to get back from Australia. So you're talking about a $5,000 trip. And if you haven't noticed, flat earthers are not really, they don't really have money like that. So let's keep going. But I think it would be a great idea if we could charter a plane, because ALE does say, ALE is cool. When we talked to them at dinner and stuff, the girl that we were in charge of us, she said, we will do anything. She goes, if you have an idea for Antarctica, you just need to contact us. She goes, now some things are very expensive. If you want to go somewhere that hasn't been excavated yet, or they haven't looked for crevasses, that's a very expensive thing. They have to get a certain car out there and people in it, and then they go and they have like a little antenna that looks in the ground and radars and stuff. So she's like, that'll be expensive. But if you just want to do something like what we're talking about, you can, that plane is available, and they'll create little experiences for whatever you want to do. It's just you have to have money, and unfortunately, I do not have such cash. Okay, let's go on. We've got, where are we at? 10 years. We've got Carlos says, I never lost hope in you, Jaren. I would like to talk to you at one point. God bless. So Carlos has been telling me for how long has it been, Carlos? Probably 8 years at the Earth's a sphere. And I told him, shut the hell up. And now I got to say, I meant, you're right. I get those mixed up sometimes. Mark went full conspiratard here, making up drama. Why would you do that? Like, it's already hard enough for people who have been part of a community for 10 years to have to stand up and say, I was wrong, I'm backing down. And then now you're adding to it that we're getting paid by it's just stupid. It's hard enough. We don't need you making up shit so that you feel better about your little cult. Don't need that. I never known Mark to be this unrealistic. You know what, Dan? Me neither. That was the most shocking thing. That's why I think personally that this was not Mark's idea, that he actually thinks everything he's saying is true, and I think Dave Weiss told him to say it. That's the whole thing that everybody's missing, is let me show you the thumbnail again so you can see the hidden character in this. You've got Lisbeth, she's sitting there kind of sad looking. You've got DJ Curious is sitting there kind of sad looking. Mark's looking off into La La Land. And there's another character on the screen who is in somebody's ear pretending he's got some insider tracks. And download the app. It's safe. I promise. Give me your crypto address. I've never known him to be that really unrealistic either. I didn't know where this stuff was coming from. I'm like, this is clearly, as we're listening to it last night, I'm like, oh, wow, that's a lie. Wow, that's a lie. Holy smokes, is he going to keep this a lie? Whoa, okay. And it just got to the point where it was like disappointing. Like, what? Is this guy going to just keep lying through this whole thing? You know. Mark Sargent to tell me lies. Yeah, you can't disguise it. Don't just tell us lies. All right, we've got this one. Okay, we've got from Templar Warden. I like the name. Whoops, I lost the page we were on. Where was it? Behind the Nerve. There we go. What do you think of the play on words? You like it? Behind the Nerve? I liked it. All right. Where's that? There we go. Dropping the words jury and collusion and implying crimes while claiming you're offering the benefit of the doubt is incredibly. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I thought that was a little bit strange too. Like, what jury? Where's our jury? What crime was committed? People can't change their mind now. It's a crime? Strange. Oops, I had that up there. I lost it. You're making fast progress after leaving Flat Earth. Do you feel it was a waste of time or part of the journey? What percentage of Flat Earth are capable of seeing Flat Earth lies? I have a dream, me and Martin Luther King. I don't think Flat Earth will be much of anything in 6 months. I don't think so. Because as long as, now the Globers can help out on this, and I know they like content for their channels, but in a debate, I would sit on the things that Flat Earth has no way of explaining. Or even say, if you can explain these things, then I'll debate you. And then they wouldn't be in the debates anymore. And then it kind of goes away. The fact that it keeps being put up like there's some debate is why I think it continues on. So what percentage are capable? I think it's going to take some people starting to leave, right? The thing is right now it's just Jaren leaving, and then it's just Robbie and just Patricia, and they're all paid off. So right now that's kind of the sentiment. But I think if more people are brave enough to stand up and say, nah, this isn't right, because there's strength in numbers, right? And so people think it's cool right now to go around, go to Jaren's channel and call him a shill. He's just a loser. Go look at Facebook, look at my posts and what people are writing there. And that's another thing. People see that stuff. So when you just call people names and like, I knew you were a fucking loser. If you think that there's like people like, oh, I want to be a flat earther. What did they say? Oh, they knew he was a fucking loser. That's cool. Can I sign up to be in that group that calls people like that? Again, I'm not trying to make it look attractive, but there's nobody saying that on the Globe side. Nobody's saying like, oh, you finally flipped, you fucking loser. No, they say, nice to see that you found the truth. If there's anything you need, let us know. IC Spin, Where's Wally, Max. These guys are like, hey, if you need any math done, let me know. If you need this, we have a guy that does this. We have a guy that runs this if you need it. Ruhif has kind of helped me a little bit on learning GeoGebra. I mean, those are just, they don't have to do that. And you know what? I don't think any one of them would repost that video of Santos Bonacci. Even enemies wouldn't repost that. So obviously, when you change your beliefs, some people move you from friend to worse than enemy. They're like, let's promote this video that talks about killing him because he changed his opinion. That's disgusting. Dirtball of the week coming Friday. Jaren, stand by your ethics because you are in the right mind now. If the Earth was just one plain land, 24,000 miles in circumference, think about it. The globe makes up. Oh, sorry. I don't know why that's not being able to be seen. Let me change this. It's too low. It's too low. Makes up most of the surface area. The continents and oceans not fit. Wait, hold on. Jaren, stand by your ethics because you are in the right mind now. If the Earth was just one large plain land, 24,000 miles in circumference, well, that's impossible. Nobody said that. The Earth is a sphere of 24,000 miles in circumference. The Earth, the flat Earth, would be 60,000 miles at least to the ice wall. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Think about if the globe makes up most of the surface area, the continents and oceans not fit. Yeah, I think that's what you're thinking. Yeah, nobody in the flat Earth ever believed that. They didn't believe that the circumference was 24,000 miles. Only the globe claimed that. The equator would be 24,000 miles. Excuse me. Oh shit. JD says support for the difficult path you have chosen. It's not been easy, but it does. And I just give this advice to everybody that you can believe me or not, but I've gone through my entire YouTube career and I've just been honest. And it gets me in trouble, and I do things I shouldn't do, and I react in ways I shouldn't react clearly, and I've done things that I regret. But regardless, at least I haven't lied. So it allows you to feel like, well, you're going to get shit wrong. You're going to believe things that are wrong. You're going to make bad decisions. But when you lie, it just becomes a whole different beast. You are a deceiver. I don't want to ever deceive people. That would be bad. I did get a little chubby. Thank you very much. Dan, don't get chubbies on the show. We've got FPV XTC. I like it. $7.99 Australian says, since Craig, FTFE, bought all the shares in Copium before TFE, I suggest purchasing song shares in the straw companies with all their clutching. Did he get that? He always is ahead of the game, that guy. The worst thing ever is when he told me that he sold 1,800 interesting shirts. Craig, you still could throw me a 20 on that, or just a 20, $40. Could you do that? Just 40. That's a lot of sales on my behalf. We've got Icy Spin in the house. Speaking of, oops, I lost you. Which is that one? What? Sorry, we'll come back to wherever that one was. We got that one. We got that one. We did this one, Chubby, and we got. Okay, sorry. I see why I went down there. Can they fix this, please? Okay. Icy Spin says, can you make sure the delay is 20 seconds and elevation angle? Well, no, I can't. I'm just going to film. I just film way ahead, and then I film the whole thing, and then we come back and do the... So what do you mean? How would I know what the delay is? I think you'd have to figure that out once we're there, right? Hopefully that's what you mean. And elevation angle of... Oh, I'll give you the distances. I didn't figure out the angles, just I know what direction I'm looking, 186 from where I'm at, and it was exactly where I expected it last time. Dan the Waterman says, we have held back on so many things for so long. I can't say thank you enough for being man enough to be not only a good soldier, but a good guy. Thank you very much, Dan. You're a good guy too. I appreciate our conversations when I have time for them. And we've got FPV again. XTC says, respect for continuing honesty. Thank you for that. We've got Suzanne, $10. Says, last week's show was amazing. I love the rational skepticism and common sense on all topics. Thank you, Suzanne. Appreciate that. A lot of people have said that. I've gotten a lot of messages from people that are like, yeah, I am a fan of science, but I do like being skeptical of it. And I do think that's your best method. And maybe that's kind of where this channel is going to go is, let's find out some stuff that maybe a lot of us don't know for sure. I don't know what kind of access I can get, but, if something's true, then show me. If you have an observatory and you want to show me Mars, you want to show me the ice caps on Mars, or you want to show me the moons of Saturn or something, invite me. I will go out there with a camera, we'll film it, and we'll show people that it's legit. But I think there's a disconnect between science and the lay people because, like, let's say the Mars rover. I mean, you've got NASA saying we have a rover on Mars. You've got people saying, no, you don't. And there's no kind of crossover. Like, I've never seen a video of them letting somebody into NASA Goddard to film the people who are driving the remote control car. Now, I'm not saying that means it doesn't happen. Could happen, and they just don't want to do it in front of people, or it's maybe more labor intensive or time intensive than people want to see. I don't know what the deal would be, but I'm just saying if you're somebody out there that does something like that and you want to bridge that gap between people that may not believe in some sort of science, and I might be one of them, right? I still have a lot of issues. I don't know if you guys heard, but Dave McKeegan's going to do a series with me where he wants me to bring my best moon landing evidence and then moon landing hoax evidence. And then he wants to be given it and then let him tell us why he thinks we're wrong. So I think that's an excellent way. It's not a debate. It's more here, how do we rectify this? What do we do about this? And maybe there's some things that we get him and he's stumped. And maybe he explains every one of them. I have a very hard time imagining a situation that I would believe in the moon landings. However, that situation could be simply to explain things that I think are unexplainable. So let's give McKeon a chance. Let's give the boy and see how it goes. Now, me just saying that has caused people to melt down. Jaren's willing to go back to say the moon landing's real. Yeah, because I'm saying, show me the evidence. I don't know what's wrong with you people. That's okay to say. And then we just decide what it means. Is it good evidence? Is it not? I think that at one point in my life and on my YouTube career, I think I might have said I would bet my life that we didn't go to the moon. Just scary to know that I said that. I never said that about the flat Earth, but I did say that about the moon. So, Buzz Aldrin, I really hope you didn't go. No, I'm just kidding. I did say that, I think. Jaren, not sure. Oh, here we go. Jaren, not sure why you think TV shows have real science rather than entertainment science. Real science is found in peer-reviewed journals, not on TV, regardless of the channel or presenter. So let me explain something, though. If you have people going around saying, we don't know why flat earthers don't believe in these experiments and these tests, that's what I have. I have a video by John Tilmer. He's the head of science at Ars Technica. He has a video where he's making fun of flat earthers, saying what drives this stubborn refusal to accept the experiments of others. The experiment that he's talking about is faked. So there's only been 2 times that the mainstream media has attempted to prove the shape of the earth for flat earthers, I guess, or for some reason, and they faked it both times. If you don't realize that could be a psyop, that is not a smart move. Whoever's in charge of science, whoever's in charge of being at PBS, whoever's in charge of the Discovery Channel, somebody should knock them across the head and say, you don't fake science to people that are science questioning or deniers. Because what you've given them is a never-ending trove of reasons to not believe in science. So it's very simple. If somebody's going to do a scientific explanation on TV, tell them, by the way, you are acting on behalf of science. So can you do it correctly, please, and do not fake it? And then you know what? Then when conspiracy theorists go around saying science is fake, you have the evidence that where's there a fake experiment? Where have we shown a fake experiment? Instead, when I tell people that the earth is a ball, the first thing I get from them is, why did Stephen Hawking fake his experiment? So what am I supposed to say to that? Because he's well, I don't know. We could ask him. He sometimes is around here. Stephen, can you tell us why you faked that experiment?
Crappy bridges. Ha ha ha. If I know about anything, it is certain crappy bridges.
So he's got crappy britches, and I think when you have crappy britches, you got to get home quick. He couldn't really do it. So I get it. I understand that, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Stephen Hawking. Who is dead, by the way, but he comes back for one-time visits. I found other Glober content kind of dull since you made the jump to the light side. I just find your conversation fascinating to watch real time. Thank you very much. Custom Crisis Protocol. Nice name. I do appreciate that. All right, and we've gone. No, that's it. We are clear. Thank you guys so much. That is a very nice day for Super Chats. Very nice. Making sure I didn't miss anything. Respect, John. Got that one. All right, so what do we have coming up this week? Like I said, we've got Jeranism show on Friday. Is there something going on? Why do I feel like there's something going on tomorrow? Next Thursday, a week from tomorrow. Oh, shoot. Now I'm seeing all these messages. Great. Yeah, I saw it. He messaged me. Sweet. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. I didn't even look at that. Let's look at the poll. Is it still there? I forgot about the poll. Top chat. Live chat. Top chat. No, it's got to be live chat. I just want to see what people wrote. It was kind of a joke, but I asked, is Flat Earth a cult? And the answers were yes, obviously, or yes, the worst kind, or yes, well, kinda, and no, not at all, I'm drunk. And we've got a 48% yes, obviously. It's probably a good percentage of the people watching. So 48% are hardcore Globers, 11% yes, the worst kinda. It's kind of a 18% yes, well, kinda, and then 23% of the not at all, and I'm drunk. So cool. All right. Everybody, thank you very much. I'm trying to see if there's anything here. Artists can paint with their butt cheeks. That's nice. I love to tune into the chat for stuff like that. Globers, I think that one thing I would recommend is just, no, I don't know if you can even say that. The harder you go at flat earthers, though, and I know I'm probably doing the same thing, and I give Will Duffy so much credit because when he came out at first, he was like Mr. Chummy, nice guy. And then over the course of like 6 months, you saw him turn, and you're like, oh man, he's a little hardcore now. He's like a little angry. And but that took him 6 months. It literally took me 2 shows where I went from like, oh, everything's cool to listen, flat earthers. All right, listen right now. So I give him credit. He took a lot longer to get to that point where he's yelling at the microphone than me. I was like, okay, I can't take this anymore. All right. All right, let's listen to the Jaren song on the way out of here. I believe that's good until we get an outro. And we got to change the intro because I can't have Conspiracy Music Guru on the show anymore. Not going to do it. Yeah, if you have some morbid curiosity, if you find that it's not even worth listening to. I mean, it's the worst. The only reason I would want to bring it up is because it's disgusting that YouTube has kept it up. And I know that nobody else is reporting it. It's just me reporting it. But it's still one person reporting something that is in clear violation of the entire community guidelines should be. I mean, it's like 4 things that are directly against the community guidelines. You're not allowed to put people in sexual situations. And he's like, oh, you're masturbating with NASA's rockets and sucking their NASA dick or something. Like that is putting me in a sexual situation I don't agree with. And yet he stays up. You're not allowed to attack people based on their sexual orientation, and it may not be my sexual orientation, but he calls me a faggot 2 or 3 times. You would think that would be taken down. I don't know why that's allowed. And other things like putting people in danger, wishing death on their children. YouTube doesn't even give a shit. They just leave it up. So the guy's not even allowed on YouTube. He's been kicked off YouTube. No, just leave it up. Nobody cares. It's like, all right, whatever. And they might have my account blocked too. They might have my account like a little check mark on it. They're like, no, it's a flat earther. We don't answer their requests to take things down. That wouldn't be surprising, to be honest with you. All right, let's go to here. Everybody's good there? Yes, we're good. All right, so see you guys Friday will be the next time. And am I forgetting anything else? Oh, Nick, if you're out there, Nick, remember you won the coins? I have somebody who has requested them. If you do not claim them, you have until Friday at showtime to message me on Telegram, t.me/Jeranism, and say, hey, I'm Nick, and I want those coins. Otherwise, they're going to go to the runner-up who already requested them. All right, let's get out of here. Guy, Mark, drop my name from your vocabulary. Stick to your guys' show. Have a good time, but do not mention me, because if you're going to lie about me, you're going to get the horns. Okay? You're going to get the horns. And I hate being lied about. I hate it more than anything. There's enough wrong with me that you can just talk about real things and be fine. You don't need to make shit up. People are already very upset at me for many reasons. So I don't need your help. By lying and saying, oh, I didn't even put the, where does he say that? I'm trying to remember what time that was. wait, I'm trying to think. When does he say? He's like, was it towards the beginning? So what he says, and let me clear this up because I've already gotten 3 emails today. He says, Jaron says that if he comes back talking that the Earth's a sphere, then he's been compromised. If anybody believes that, does that make any sense? I went down to do an observation that was going to tell us whether the Earth was a sphere or whether it was flat. So do you think I said if I come back talking about the sphere, I've been compromised? That makes no sense. I said if I come back and say we went to the moon, or if I come back and say the sun is 90 million miles away, then I've been compromised. My point of saying that was that those things cannot be determined by the observation we went and did. So I knew that there was no chance I was going to come back and say the moon landing is real or that the sun's 93 million miles away. That would take more research. So just so people know, that's been done now. So I have a feeling that in, like, let's say I do say that the moon landing is real in a year and a half, people will be like, he's compromised. He said it. No, I didn't mean forever. God bless you, people. You're still a flat earther by your heart. Yeah, I think so. I mean, of course, I like the anti-authoritarian position. I do not like government. I do not like big government. I do not like being told what to do. People should know that. I mean, I've done my own channel, my own stuff, my own show, whether people like it or not. I don't like to be told what to do. So I do like the idea. It is kind of a counter-revolution where you're just saying F you to the system and F you to the school system. But it's not okay to do that when you're just blatantly wrong. And there might be problems with the way they teach the sphere. They kind of just skip over it and hope you get it. But it might be there's reasons behind that. I don't know. It's one time somebody told me, if you have a room of 100 people, let's think of a room of 100 people, random people from all walks of life. Now find the person with the middle intelligence there. So how smart are they? Not really, right? I mean, 100 people, you're taking all the smart people, then you got maybe 10 of them. Now you got people that are kind of smart, okay, now you got 10 more. So by the time you get down to that 50th person, kind of dumb. I'm almost say they were dumb. So then there's 50 people still in the room dumber than him. So that should tell you, like, it's not everybody's going to get everything. Not everybody's going to be on the same page. So I think when I think that way, I do kind of realize that it's a tough subject. I've actually tried to talk to people like this Q Bala. He was on my debate show, and I've been trying to get him across to him about the Earth being flat and a sphere, and he just can't handle it. Just cannot handle it. Just says, what do you mean? What if we build things and it would go off into space? I'm like, no, anything that you built that's that long would just form to gravity to the ground. He doesn't get that. I'm like, dude, think about 2 football fields. If there was a cinder block as big as 2 football fields, it would only need to curve 1/8 of an inch and it would bend that much. It's a cinder block. And there's no such thing as cinder blocks that are 660 feet anyway. There's probably not cinder blocks that are 20 feet. So there's nothing that you need to worry about on the Earth that really matters that it's curved. There's just really nothing. Maybe there's something I'm just not thinking about. But, for obviously if you're measuring the Earth or you're doing some sort of angles, doing surveying. But I'm talking about for us, just a layperson, just accept that the Earth's a sphere and then realize it doesn't matter. People are like, well, I don't feel like it's a sphere. I don't feel like I'm spinning. Yeah, so just don't care. Right? For me, spin isn't even important. It's just not important. Because the Earth spins so slow that it's just either that, and I do kind of think it could be a relative thing, where it's made in a way that you can never say what's happening. If you're standing on the sun, you would say the Earth's going around you. If you stand on the Earth, the sun goes around you. Is it really that important to say which is which? In a relative world, there's no preferred reference frame. There's no stationary absolute reference frame. Now, somebody could convince me that the Earth is one, but that would take evidence, and I think that we kind of have that evidence, but kind of don't, right? It's the same thing, again, with relativity. If you're on the Earth, you might not be able to prove the Earth moves. If you're on the sun, you probably wouldn't be able to prove the sun moves. It's just the way things go. I just don't think it's that important. I preached flat Earth because I thought we were being lied to. We are not. About the South. We're being lied to about a lot else, other things. I still have issues with some stuff, believe me. Believe you me. All right, I'm out of here. Much love to you guys. We are going to play the Jeranism song, which is always fun. And if we get this up and this one. No one believes the Earth is a globe simply because NASA says so. Well, I think you'd be surprised how many might believe that for that reason. Because it is a difficult thing to prove. This is why people become flat earthers. If you go ask somebody, do you believe in the globe? They'll be like, hell yeah, of course it's a globe. Okay, give me one globe proof. They don't have them. Because school doesn't really teach that. Maybe college does, but not elementary school, not middle school. They just kind of skip right over it. So I'm just saying that there's probably better ways to teach it. And I don't know why they skip over it. I always thought that it was because the Earth was flat. That's why they skipped over it. And they didn't want people to get in that conversation and think about it. But I no longer think that that's the case. I thought I had... All right, let's go back over here. Sorry, almost there. So Mark, and DJ Curious, just, in that interview, you said something like, oh, well, I don't understand why Jaren would flip. I don't understand why... I talked to you back and forth on Telegram, many messages. And in every message, you're asking me, why do you think it's okay to flip? And I would explain what falsifier is, how there's no place left to go for flat Earth. It's not magically going to have a new map. You're not magically going to change the direction of the sun. It's been doing that for thousands of years. So it's easy to come to the conclusion. And I think that the problem might be people who have really adopted this for a religious reason. That's what's tough. Because you've already made the claim, oh, the Bible says so, and the Bible's God's word, and the Bible's all true. So then when somebody says, no, the Earth's actually a ball, you're like, can't be. I've already bought into the fact that it's a Bible or salvation issue. In my opinion, and again, I'm not a Christian, and I don't really necessarily believe in salvation, but it's not a salvation issue. I don't think any pastor has claimed that. So don't treat it as one. Don't adopt it as, I'll just tell you, Wendy B. Level, who is Will Duffy's friend, then we started talking, and she asked me to do a couple things in Antarctica for her. We've been back and forth. We've talked a lot. And recently she just basically cut off ties. And I was like, well, so you're not going to be friends anymore because of our belief differences? She goes, yeah, the Bible says we shouldn't be unequally yoked, which I had to look up with that. I was like, I know I'm unequally yoked. You damn right. But then I was like, oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. Something different. I guess that means you have different beliefs or something. Anyway, I think that's weird. I'm like, well, first of all, that seems to be in a context of marriage. We're not married. But we should be able to be friends. I'm not an evil person. I don't worship Satan because I believe in the globe. I don't understand why would God be like, yeah, that person believes in the globe? Shut it down. I'm not having a conversation with him. Stupid glober. No, I don't think that happens. The sun sets and rises every day. That is a falsification of flat Earth. It certainly is if you talk about the prediction of it. Yeah, the globe predicts exactly. Oh, and I see what you mean. I still don't totally agree with that one. I get why globe earthers say that. They're like, the sun would never set if it's a certain height above the ground. But I think if you understand perspective and something going away from you, and then there is some sort of a ability for the sun to stop throwing its light, meaning it gets too far away, there's too much atmosphere in between. So I know people believe the sun goes forever, but the sun actually does retard with atmosphere, right? It would hit and it kind of dies. It doesn't do that in a vacuum, but it does do it when it hits the Earth. So the sun could be going away from you, and it just gets too far for the light to reach you. Now, I know you guys are like, oh, but you'll still see the ball sun itself, but not if it's blocked by atmosphere. I think that they're, like, for instance, let's say you're looking across 20,000 miles. If the sun just started going away from you, it would get to a point where there's too much atmosphere between you and the sun, and you wouldn't see the sun anymore. Doesn't mean it's set, just means, and it would set at a place that you might think is your horizon, but it's actually. So, and again, I don't. What I hate doing is I'm not going to argue flat Earth points. Doesn't do me any good, and it's not. There's no point to it. So I'm tired of doing that. All right, let's head out. Much love to you guys. We're going to listen to the Jeranism song. The crazy thing about this song is that, as I've said before, I found this in 2014 before I'd ever done a YouTube video. It may sound like it's talking about me because it says I've got an internet following and all this stuff, but it's not me. It's another Jaren, and it's actually spelled differently. Let's see. Have I seen this one? No, I don't think I've seen this one before.
What is love?
Not that song, though. Thank you. All right, guys. Much love. We'll see you Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific, the Jeranism Show, the #1 show. No, it's not the Jeranism Show. My bad. It's Friday Unplugged. There is no more Jeranism Show. It's on hiatus. All right, guys. Much love to you guys. We'll see you soon. We love you and all that fun stuff. And I remind you, do your own research, because when you do, you'll never again think that you can't tell the shape of the ground by looking at the lights in the sky. And somebody, please tell Dave Weiss. Till next time. Peace.
I know this dude named Jaren, and he's looking real fine. And no, I'm not a homo, but I gotta try to make him mine, 'cause he holds all of the secrets that the ancients once kept. But the